Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Sorry I'm a little bit late. A little bit of connection problems with my internet, but I got it worked out. Hopefully, we're going to have a stable stream, no problems. Hopefully, no mic problems. I'm going to try and not have mic problems also. So, yeah, we got a preview for Golden State Warriors tonight, late game, 10 p.m., something like that. And also reacting to the 905 losing to Grand Rapids Gold yesterday. And I'll have my 3 stars a game, all the fun stuff we do on the Raptor Freak channel. Let's get going right now. Sorry I'm late, y'all. I literally got my internet started up again at like 9:25, and I'm here 8 minutes later. So that's pretty good considering I had to get all my tabs, do the ref report, do everything really fast in like 5 minutes. So that's not bad. I'll try to make 9:30, but it was just it's cutting it close. All right, let's start out with our latest lineup news. We did find out last night that RJ will be sitting again tonight. So RJ Barrett is still sick, and he will not play against the Golden State Warriors tonight. So he's on the list. Also, Jared Roden is still with 905, and he's got a twisted ankle, so he's inactive. Jacoby Walter, Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, Ulrich Shamshay are all out also. Nobody else is listed on the injury list for the Raptors. It's not clear. As of right now, it seems like Scotty Barnes, Jakob Pertl, and Emmanuel Quickly will all be available for the game tonight against Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. So I'm going to speculate that our starting lineup for the Raptors is going to be Emmanuel Quickly, Scotty Barnes, Jakob Pertl, along with Oshai Abaji and maybe Jamison Battle. I would say it's maybe something like that. Maybe they let Jonathan start because it's in San Francisco. And, it could be that this is Jonathan and Scotty and Jakob all in the starting lineup together with Oshai and Emmanuel in the backcourt. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as far as what I think will happen with the starters for the Raptors today. The Warriors do have one injury on their list right now. It's Gary Payton II. He's questionable due to a knee injury. And I think that's really the only person they may be missing. So the Warriors are very much are full strength. Monique's been mad at me this week because I predicted we're going to lose this Warriors game like 3 or 4 days ago. And she's like, Lex, you just don't have the right belief in the Raptors. And I'm like, I want to believe, but I also understand what we're calling for play call right now. And that is sit the best players to lose at the end of the game. And, the thing about the Warriors right now, since they traded for Jimmy Butler, they have been rolling. They've lost only like 2 or 3 times since Jimmy came there. So they're like 15-3 in their last 18 games. So it's like, I'm just looking at what the trends are here, Mo. I'm not trying to piss you off. The Warriors are really good right now with Jimmy Butler showing up, and they're 15-3 in their last 18. So it's an educated opinion here, and they're still playing for something. It's not like they're trying to tank out like some of the teams we've been playing recently. So it's going to be very difficult for the Raptors to win this game tonight because they may be trying to beat themselves. And that's all I got to say on that. It's like, it's not I'm a turncoat. It's not I'm a Tank Nation person. You guys know I'm very anti-tanking. But this is the thing. The first rule for me as a Raptors freak is trust in Masai. And if Masai's decided that the team needs to start losing right now because of draft concerns, I trust him for that. And that supersedes anti-tank sentiment for myself. It's a hierarchy of things. I hate losing. I don't like losing on purpose. I hate tank culture. I hate Tank Nation. That's nothing that I want to be involved with. But when the leader of my team, the president of my team, says it's time to do it right now, well, I'm going to go with it instead of fighting it because that's the dude who knows best. And I trust Masai Ujiri. So in some ways, it's like people can think I'm flip-flopping. People can think I'm a turncoat on winning ways for our team. But I'm being honest here. I take the direction from our team president because I trust him. And when he says this is the time to be in this mode, I believe him. Now, it's when other people are saying we need to tank over and over again and the team is not trying to tank that I get really anti-tank. Does that make sense? I mean, seriously, why fight against what Masai wants is what I'm saying right now. And if we miraculously beat the Golden State Warriors tonight, somehow, some way, I'm going to apologize to Mo, and I'm going to say, yeah, you were right, and I should have never doubted them. But I know I'm probably going to be right, and they're probably going to lose tonight. And she's going to be mad at me for that too. She's going to say, you jinxed them, you messed them up, you made them lose. I'm like, no, I didn't. I looked at what they've been doing with their record and their what they've been doing with Jimmy Butler since, and I made an educated opinion. That's what this is. It's not about whether I don't want the Raptors to win or not. It's not whether I want them to tank or not. It's about Lexi looking at the situation with unfiltered eyes and saying, this is what I see. That's what this is. It's not. I love the Raptors. Anybody who doesn't think Lexi doesn't love the Raptors, you're crazy. Why do I get up every morning and do the show for 3 years straight, never missing a morning if I don't love the Raptors? Come on now. Come on now. It's just I trust Masai, and that's the first rule for me. And I know that that's what we're doing right now. Let's see what they're saying on the ESPN matchup predictor for our game tonight, and what chance did they give us on winning this one? They're giving us a 23% chance, so less than a quarter chance. 77% chance the Warriors will win tonight, according to ESPN. They're at home. They've been rolling. We're not a good road team overall this season. We are not a good road team. And, well, let's go look at the refs. The referees for tonight at the Replay Center, it'll be a couple old head refs, Michael Smith and Tom Washington, kicking it in Secaucus, seeing the eyes in the sky, Alan Parsons project. Okay. Our crew chief tonight is Courtney Kirkland, probably the worst veteran ref for the Raptors at this point. Courtney's in his 25th season, number 61 out of Flint, Michigan. He likes the TV show Billions, and he likes the movie The Matrix. His favorite book is The Total Money Makeover, and his favorite app is the NBA app. Yeah. Courtney Kirkland was a member of the crew that officiated the 2021 NBA All-Star Game in Atlanta, which honored historically Black colleges and universities. All three officials in the game, Kirkland, Southern University, the late Tony Brown, Clark, Atlanta, and Tom Washington, Norfolk State, attended HBCUs. Kirkland also officiated the 2020 NBA All-Star Game in Chicago. He is one of 5 NBA officials to ever work consecutive All-Star games. Yeah, Courtney is a really bad ref for us. In fact, of all the 20-year refs, he is the one that has the lowest winning percentage for the Raptors. We win only 42% of our games with Courtney Kirkland available. We've had him once this year, and we lost that game. And the Warriors win 54% of their games with Courtney. So it's 42-54 for the Warriors with the crew chief, Courtney Kirkland. Not a good ref for us to have as the crew chief, guys. The second ref is fantastic, though. In fact, he may be the best ref to the Raptors this whole entire season this year, and we love him. Eric Dalen, the tight end out of Minnetonka, Minnesota, number 17, 17th season, number 37. His favorite TV show is NCIS. He likes the movie We Were Soldiers. He listens to Zach Brown. His favorite meal is chili. He likes to watch Netflix. He'd most like to visit, cruise around the world, and his bucket list is to take a ride in a fighter jet. That's right. Eric Dalen made his playoff debut as an NBA official in the 2021-2022 season when he officiated Game 1 of a first-round series between the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat. Yeah, Eric's been fantastic for the Raptors this year. He is definitely the best ref today. We won both the games he's refereed so far this year, so we're 2-0 with Eric this season. And he reffed a game early in the season. He reffed a game during our really good January, and now he's reffing us in a really good March also. So, yeah, we win 61% of our games with Eric Dalen, and the Warriors only win 51%. So he favors the Raptors today. 61-51 for the Raptors with Eric Dalen, the tight end. The third ref is Fennessy Ransom. We've had Fennessy quite a bit this year. Actually, this year we've had Fennessy Ransom the most we've ever had him in his entire refereeing career. Number 70 in his 7th season out of Atlanta, Georgia. His favorite TV show is 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes doing some good work down there. Actually, one of the last bastions of journalism in the United States right now. Keep going 60 Minutes. CBS, don't kowtow to that stupid fascist lawsuit that the Trump administration has against you. Keep putting out the truth about what's going on down there. You guys may be the last place where people can actually get a real take on the news in a mainstream way. So don't kowtow 60 Minutes. Serious. All right, just a little side there. Favorite movie, Enter the Dragon. He likes to listen to Foreign Exchange. His favorite book is The Tao of Abundance. He likes to eat hibachi chicken and shrimp. His favorite app is Shazam. He'd most like to go to Cairo, Egypt. He'd like to learn how to play the piano. and his hidden talent is public speaking. Yeah. Fantasy Ransom has 8 years of collegiate officiating experience with assignments in the Mideastern Athletic, Southwestern Athletic, Big South, Ohio Valley, Southern and Sun Belt conferences, among others. He also spent 6 years officiating high school basketball in Georgia. Yeah, Fantasy is the middle guy. In some ways, we got Courtney, who's a bad ref. We got Eric, who's a good ref. And then we got Fantasy right in the middle. Our record with Ransom this year so far is 3-2. That's actually pretty good. We've won 3 and lost 2 with him available. We did win the last game he reffed. Where our record overall in his career is 53% winning. And, well, he has a better win percentage with the Raptors than the Warriors. They actually only win 43%. So the third ref is favoring the Raptors 53-43. So not bad with 2 of the refs. Fantasy and Eric Dalen, really good records with them this season. We're collectively 5-2 with those 2 refs on the season. Well, Courtney Kirkland 0-2, bottom of the barrel kind of ref for us. So at least the 2 refs kind of are good, but the crew chief's not a nice guy. Let's just put it that way. There's your ref report for the game tonight. We'll see how much Courtney is running things. Sometimes Courtney is the crew chief, and he kind of lets the secondary refs run the game, and he's kind of in the background, just kind of being the leader quietly on the side. We'll have to see what style he uses tonight. Some ways you can tell which ref's going to be the lead ref, even if the crew chief is designated the crew chief, by who's going to do the jump ball. Seriously, I paid attention to this. You can see Courtney Kirkland may be the crew chief, but you may see Eric Dalen doing the jump ball tonight, guys, just so y'all know. And that may be a sign saying that, you know what? Courtney's kind of taking a back seat, and he's going to kind of be running things as a de facto leader. He's the leader, and he will be in charge ultimately on the court as the lead ref. But quite often, as part of the training for NBA refs, these other under refs may take over and be more of the crew chief in some games. In some ways, I hope that's what happens tonight. And that Courtney just kind of goes on sleep mode tonight. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. There's your ref report. Never undefeated. The ref report, it will give you the right information for the feel of the refs, and you'll see. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat, guys. Thanks for letting me get here late. So silly. I don't know what was going on with my modem. I had to reboot it 100 different times. I really, really did. Trevor J's here first, of course. The Commissioner Fun. Trevor J, thank you for the classic cards. Sending me the classic cards. Trevor's saying a lesson from our hand. All fingers are not the same length. Okay. But when they bend, all stand equal. Life becomes easy when we bend and adjust to all situations. You know, that's an interesting statement, but I would say like this, man, sometimes it's better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. How about that? How about that for a word of wisdom? And in some ways, I like the sentiment of what you're saying. I like the fact that you're saying that, not all fingers are the same length. Yeah. I like the sentiment that you're saying, they all bend, they stand equal, but I don't want anybody to bend. I don't want anybody to have to bend over to stand equal, because that's not the right message right now. There should be resistance, and we should all stand proud. And in some ways, I say this once again, it's better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. And so think about that one. There's Lex turning Trevor's into his own words of wisdom today. And yeah, listen to what I just said. That's what I mean right there. Yeah. Trevor J also saying, after I watched the 905 give up a big lead, I am done. Well, you're not the only one who's done. The 905 had a 20-point lead in the game in the middle of the game last night, but it's not their fault, Trevor. It's not their fault. This is just part of what's happening here. They are undermanned, under-talented, undersized. And you know what? I'm proud of them. They kicked ass for most of the game and were winning most of the game, but ultimately Grand Rapids Gold having a little bit more depth on their team, more players available, honestly, and more talent in some ways, overcame them by the end of the game. That's natural. It's not a sprint in the NBA. It's a marathon. It's 48 minutes. And, well, in the G League, you got to play all 48 minutes too, in excellence. But if you don't have enough good players, you don't have enough players in general, you're going to be tired by the end of the game. And you will cough up big leads and lose. And that's what's been happening with the 905. They just don't have enough manpower. They don't have enough firepower. They don't have enough energy to compete with other teams because they are depleted in their pantry. And it's just impossible. And I'm not surprised by this. I know y'all wanted them to win, But I also understand the situation right now. They can't even depend on Loudon Love to play more than 5 minutes. So what the hell are they going to do? They ain't got nobody. And I know it's disappointing and it's sad. And you're like, you've given up on them. Well, they're officially out of the playoffs as of last night. So the 905 do not have a chance to make the G League playoffs as of their loss last night. And well, you're done with them. Most people are done with them. They only have 4 more games left, and we'll go through the motions of those 4 games, and then they'll be done. They'll be done for the season. And once again, I'm not going to say they had a bad season. They've had ups and downs. They didn't get success in their record, but it was a very successful year for development and for supplying the Toronto Raptors with a pipeline of players that were ready to play for Coach Darko immediately. So it is tough. It's tough. You're done. I'm done. Well, the 905 is going to be done soon, and they ain't going to the playoffs as of last night. That's right. Yeah. You know what? Let's do the 905 game right now. I'm going to react to it really quick since you brought it up. My number one star of the game last night was once again Evan Gilliard. Evan Gilliard has just been fantastic in the last little stretch. He's been very hot from the field. 36 minutes for Evan, 10 of 18 from the field. 2 of 6 from 3. He made all 3 of his free throws, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 6 turnovers, though, minus 13 with 27 points in 36 minutes. Yeah, Evan's just been like that. He's been carrying the Raptors 905 and really putting in a lot of baskets for them and just carrying. He has to. They've needed him. The second star of the game in this one for me was Charlie Brown Jr., who had the leading score. He was 29 points in 37 minutes. Charlie Brown was 9 of 18 from the field. Fantastic 50% shooting. In fact, 50% at the three-point line, also 5 of 10. Made all 3 of his 3 free throws, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 1 block, 5 turnovers, though. Minus 23 with 29 points. This is the thing. The Raptors 905 had 17 turnovers overall that were really, really bad. Really, really bad. And 11 between Evan and Charlie. But Charlie was really active. Charlie was really getting after it. Once again, we're in a weird state with 905 where we don't have centers. And Quincy Guerrier and Charlie Brown Jr. are de facto centers. Another factor in last night's game that really hurt us is Eugenio Marui was suspended from this game last night because of a fight with the Windy City Bulls on Monday night. He actually did get suspended by the G League and was not available for the Raptors 905 last night. That would have helped. That would have helped in a close game like this to have Gino back out there. But we didn't even have Gino, our best player right now for 905. And that's part of why we lost, guys. So, yeah, unfortunate that Gene got suspended. And Blake Murphy, thank you for the information at the beginning of the chat on Gino's suspension. So we knew why he wasn't there. The third star of the game for me is Quincy Guerrier. He came out big time early, played really big, getting a lot of good rebounds, and he was scoring too. So Quincy in 37 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 at 3. He was hitting threes too. Hit his only free throw, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover, a minus 21 with 17 points for Quincy Guerrier. Yeah, those were the best stars. Gilliard, Charlie Brown, and Quincy Guerrier. Other guys in the starting lineup, Lacey James starting and getting 10 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Not bad. He did foul out once again. It's kind of his calling card. Lacey James' calling card is I'm going to foul out before this game is over, y'all. Watch. Tyreek Key was the other starter who he had some moments where he looked better. 3 of 9 from the field. He missed all of his threes once again, though. But he had a couple little loopy kind of up and under layups, attacking the rim in traffic that looked really impressive. So Tyreek wasn't totally a wash as a starter. 2 rebounds, 2 steals also for him in a block, 2 turnovers, 6 points for Tyreek. Man, I'm telling you, Tyreek Key, you can get 30 minutes. You better put in some points because you're a scorer. And 6 points ain't going to cut it. You're not pulling your weight to help the Raptors. 905 is what I'm saying. Kennedy Chandler got out of the doghouse and got in for 17 minutes off the bench, 2 of 9 from the field, 0 for 3 from all of 3-point range, 8 points, a plus 13, though, the highest plus minus on the team. So we were winning when he was on the court, when he was out there. But yeah, this is the problem. The 905 did not shoot well from 3 in a lot of ways. And well, the Grand Rapids Gold did. That's another part of it. Loudon Love, 4 minutes, 0 points. He got 1 rebound and a turnover. DJ Jeffries got his first points as a 905 last night, a three-pointer. He bombed the three and made it 1 for 2 from the field, 3 points for him, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 5 fouls also. So you got these newer guys that came to this team like Love, Jeffries, and James, and they can't help but foul people, and they have a really hard time staying on the court. And they're supposed to be our latest big men, Tyler Perry, another fantastic game in limited time off the bench, 27 minutes, 4 of 9 from the field, 1 of 5 from three, made all 4 of his free throws, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover, 15 points for Tyler Perry. But yeah, Andrew, as Mo said after the game, if I was Andrew Jones, I'd be throwing chairs. Well, once again, I'm going to explain that the team is just undermanned. And the talent, like, look, Lacey James wasn't on no G League team like a month ago, and now he has to start for the 905. Seriously. And out of the guys we have playing, Lacey James, Loudon Love, and DJ Jeffries are from the player pool, and they are at the bottom of the barrel from the talent to have for your G League team. Seriously. And then you got guys that have been on the 905 all season, but they've been kind of the end of the bench, and guys that have not played well at different times, like Kennedy Chandler, Charlie Brown, Tyler Perry, Tyreek Key. These guys were not the best 905 players when we were rolling, and they're basically like the main guys on our team. So it's a really tough situation with the Raptors 905, and alas, they're eliminated from the playoffs, and they only have 4 more games to go through the motions with for the rest of the season. And that's just how it is, guys. That's just how it is. Lots of turnovers for the 905 with 17. And then also, they didn't shoot as well as the Gold. The Gold shot 50%. They shot 47. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough game. They did make all their free throws, though. I will give the 905 that credit. So tough game last night in Grand Rapids for the 905. They're falling out. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. If if they had the J Rooks around, if Shamshay was still playing, even on the down low, I was thinking about this. If Disu had been playing, they would have been way better than what's going on right now. That's right. Trevor Jays brought up some news yesterday, which I was very disheartened to hear. And I heard the interview, and I heard it straight from his mouth. Thad Young said he didn't like living in Toronto in an interview recently. Man, I wish you hadn't done a Antonio Davis, man. Now, look, we've seen Antonio Davis come back around, and he's cool now. He's been at Raptors functions for this 30th anniversary season. But Antonio Davis made the same mistake after he left Toronto, saying something stupid like this. Now, I get it. Thad Young's point is basically that he hated customs, that unlike in the States, you don't have to do customs over and over again, and that it's annoying. And his main point is that it's a disadvantage, is having to fly through customs and take so much time going through customs. But he really kind of was too honest about how much his family didn't like being in Toronto. That's the disheartening thing. Like, I knew Shakina did not like the cold, and he did add in this interview that she doesn't like it in Minnesota either. That it's not a Canada thing, it's a cold thing, it's a North thing, and she likes being in a warmer climate. And then I was really sad to hear that his son was like kind of nodding that, yes, we didn't like Canada, and to the side of the camera when he was doing this interview. It's just bad decision, Thad. I thought you were smarter than this. Y'all can have these sentiments, but you don't need to air these publicly, because in some ways you hurt the Raptors, and maybe you don't care about that. I don't know. Maybe you were upset that they picked Garrett over you, as far as being that vet that hangs around and sticks around. I know Garrett Temple's smarter than this, that he would never do what you did yesterday. Seriously, he's a diplomat, and he understands you don't want to burn bridges or close doors. And, some of the other guys that have played for the Raptors understand Raptors fans don't like this kind of shit. And they are ahead of time already like, yeah, just don't say anything about Toronto being cold or anything like that, because Raptors fans will give you their wrath. And, well, Thad's going to get that now, unfortunately. I think what he said was fair, but he was really kind of showing that, like, he didn't really want to be here in some ways, and that's annoying. I found that your time here was very good, yeoman's work. In some ways, I've thought about you recently, actually, about what a great Raptor you are, but this is going to hurt your case now. This is going to hurt your case. You didn't straight up go out like Rudy Gay. You're somewhere in between Rudy Gay and Antonio Davis. And I think you're really kind of more like Antonio Davis in this case. Antonio Davis said, "Oh, it's weird having our kids go to Canadian schools and learn the metric system and all this kind of stuff." Who knows? Maybe Thad Young's just really disappointed that he's not in the NBA still, that his career ended because nobody signed him back on. I don't know. I don't know. This was really dumb. In some ways, it's not in his character to speak out like this and cause waves, but it's really disheartening. And it does hurt his standing with the Raptors organization and the fans. It does. It does hurt what he said. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to say any of this. And, especially with the political climate the way it is right now and the way things are right now, we may be a little bit more sensitive up here to this kind of stuff right now. And we'd have to take note of that. But, he didn't really need to do this. You're hurting Masai when you do something like this, Thad Young, just so you know. Even if you're being honest, don't get in on this kind of energy. It's not you, man. It's not your personality. If it is, and I didn't know that, well, I'm learning things about Thad Young that I didn't realize, that he is kind of a knucklehead. And he wasn't exactly like the smartest as I thought he was. I don't know. Either way, that role went to Garrett Temple, and he's been rocking that role better than anybody has rocked it in recent Raptors times. So it's disheartening. I will say that you'll always have the crossover on that on Joel falling on his face, and I'll always love that moment forever and ever. And this does hurt your standing in my eyes as far as like the a valued and loved former Raptor alumni. That's what you got to understand, former players and players that used to play for the Raptors. Don't shit on your legacy with us because in some ways, we're another avenue to a whole other kind of revenue stream of global kind of stuff. And that's the thing. You can't shit on us and then expect us to just be like, "Oh yeah, come on up here and sell us something on TV." No. Vince is one of those special cases where he could be somebody who is absolutely at odds with us for 20 years, and he will be able to be popular enough to come back and do commercials in Canada right now because he's mended the fences and he can open that up. But he's one of the very, 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 very few, and it's really because of how huge he was at that dunk contest and his whole story. Dad, you can't do this, bro. You will get it. In some ways, you might not be. If you come back to Canada, maybe he doesn't care. He doesn't ever want to come back to Canada. You may be like that. I don't know. Either way, it was a bad look, and he shouldn't have done it, man. He shouldn't have done it. In some ways, it's just better to be quiet. And this might have been that instance because then you got your podcast hosts that are with you, and they're laughing and cackling about it and being very xenophobic as an extension of you. And they may not even help you with your case because they make you look even worse because they're doubling down on some of the things you're saying. I don't know. We're very sensitive to this right now, obviously. And this isn't the time or the place. I mean, normally it wouldn't be a good time or place to do it, but especially right now, Thad Young, especially right now. Trevor's saying Miami and the Sixers lost last night. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm not doing all the NBA stuff. I mean, in some ways, this matters for our standings watch with us and the Sixers. And I guess with the Miami falling out of the playoffs. But I still think we're going to stay right around where we are. We may leapfrog with the Sixers and the Nets a little bit, but probably not. Some people are saying that the Spurs will end up below us and we'll win past them. I don't think that's totally true either. Part of that is we're going to play the Spurs 2 of those games, and there will be a little bit of driving in the driver's seat for that. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Let's see what Smooth's saying here. Hey, all. I was at the office yesterday. I could not watch live. Lex, please talk about Thad Young. He said he didn't like living in Toronto. He felt disadvantaged. His sons and wife hated it. Yeah, yeah, I kind of just did talk about it. I mean, I can understand the customs thing. That could be annoying. But once again, these guys are living a lap of luxury. They get these special lines that they can go through and do the customs. They don't have to usually stand in that huge room with everybody else. There's like express and like what is it? Like platinum card kind of shit. Delta Club, go through this way. I mean, I get it, and the other guy, the podcast guy saying your friends can't come and see you in Canada. Yeah, if they don't have fucking passports, they can't. Yeah, if they're felons and they're not allowed into this country, Canada, they can't. Most people can come to Canada and visit Canada if they have a passport. Just because lazy asses don't want to get passports to come up to Canada, well, that's their own damn fault. Just if people don't have charges and they can't come across the border, well, that's their own damn fault. So people saying, oh, they can't come across the border. Well, who knows what this border is going to be like in the near future anyway. But I'm just saying, Yeah, it's a bad look. And Thad Young Jr., this ain't gonna help you, bro, with your draft for the NBA, my guy. You know, what if Toronto is the best place to draft you? And they're gonna be like, well, he hates Toronto because he said it on his the father's podcast. It's just dumb. It's just really, really dumb. You know, even if you feel it on the download, don't say it publicly because that could hurt you, man. That's one of 30 teams in the NBA. And if Thaddeus Young Jr. is in the draft in the next few years, and the Raptors are anywhere near that, Masai and Bobby already know. They already know because this is all came out. That's stupid, man. You just hurt yourself for one franchise in this league. Seriously. You know, what if it is like, oh, the Raptors would be the best case scenario for Thaddeus Young to go to? And he's like, no, but we know he hates it up here. So sorry, Thaddeus Young Jr., you're going to fall in the draft. We could have drafted you here. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's why this is dumb. It's really, really dumb. Thad's such a smart guy giving advice to people being in the league for so long, but he's hurting his own son. What an idiot. That's what I was saying right there. Yeah. Kaz is saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Happy game day. Happy game day to you, Trucker Kaz. Always good to see you, man. And he's saying, at Smooth, I find it hilarious that he's crying about all that, and yet he chose to resign here. If it was that bad, why didn't you leave? Yeah, that's one thing. And he had a gentleman's agreement to resign with us, and he followed through, which is good. But yeah, then he's saying that Shakina told me if I re-sign again here after that one, that I'm coming back by myself. See that you know, you don't need to be giving us all these private details. I mean, I've heard CJ Miles say y'all are sharing too much online, and y'all need to kind of keep your stuff private more. CJ Miles saying that, and I agree with him. You know, in some ways, me, I'm an open book. I share way too much. I know I overshare on this channel, but I can't help it to a degree because of my autism. But I mean, people that are in the, you know, they don't have issues like I do with no filter. They should be keeping a filter on. And I think this is the biggest issue for Thad Young right here is you should have had a fucking filter is what you should have had in this situation. Seriously. Cass saying at Trevor, I stopped watching 905 after Prince Shamshay got hurt. He was the main reason I watched the 905 this year. Yeah. And he was a delight to watch. And what could have been? We'll never know, Kaz. We'll never know. It's sad. Let's see. Reggie's saying at Kaz, I was disappointed in his ignorance for someone who has done very well and is supposed to be a mentor. Wow. I know. It's a bad look. And, you know, what kind of message is he sending? And then even like that, it's kind of an open insight, like an honest open insight to the mindset of some American players about playing in Canada. And we're checking it more recently now. We got a guy who played for the Raptors after the championship. And it's still somebody who's going to have a little bit of American xenophobia kind of silly shit. Even though he's from outward appearances, seems like a really good guy, a longtime guy who's been in the league forever and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you know, this is a guy who's nice. This is a guy who acted like he liked Canada. And then he comes back around and says this. Well, then it makes you kind of wonder, well, how many of these players actually are lying to us about actually being happy being in Canada? Was all intents and purposes, it looked like Thad Young and his family were perfectly okay being a part of the Raptors family. Well, that's sad. It's sad. In some ways, you just hurt yourself, Thad. And you know what? You're going to hear it from Raptors Nation now in a way you've never heard it. In a way you've never heard it. And you'll be like, holy fuck, did I step in a pile of doo-doo with that dumbass podcast I just did recently? That's probably what he's going to start thinking. Oh, man, I really fucked up. I shouldn't have said that shit about Canada. You know, we all know the customs is like that in some ways. We all know that. But you're not in the big room in Pearson like we are, the regular people. You're not in there. But I'll say this, customs so fast. When I came back from Christmas, I ran through there. I was in and out of that customs room in 5 minutes. I basically did like a double dare obstacle course. Run up to the screen, put your passport in, check all the boxes. No, I did not bring farmland animals and plants into the country. Did you buy this much money? Did you do this? No. All right, here's your printout. Here's your picture. Run up to the customs agent. The guy was in the booth. He was like, just wave through. I was wearing all Raptors gear. He's like, oh, that guy's from here. Put him through. I usually say, go Raptors. And I run through Pearson Airport Customs. And they're like, yeah, I don't even have to stop. I show the card and they're like, go, keep going. I'm like running. And then I run with the bag on my shoulder all the way through the baggage area, straight out into the parking garage to get my truck, jump in it. Boom. I'm home. And like, I got off the plane the last time I came back from the States and I was home within like 45 minutes. It was amazing. It was like the fastest ever. I was like, I got through customs in like nothing. It was crazy. So I don't know. This customs complaint, come on, man. Seriously. Seriously, come on now, come on now. That's right. Trevor's saying USA people think the world is that country. They never travel to another country to have to go through customs. Okay, okay. I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So basically, yeah, I know inside your own country, you don't have to do customs. Like a friend of mine has to fly somewhere in the Maritimes. They don't have to do customs, right? So, but if you're going to Atlanta, I got to do customs if I'm going to see my family in Georgia. Same thing in the United States. If you play for the Phoenix Suns, like Thad Young did, he has to go play for play the New York Knicks. He's flying to New York. There's no customs on the way. I get that, all that. It's whatever. Well, what's the problem? And then like Thad added this on. He's like, "Oh, I bought something, and you gonna make me pay extra on top of this to bring it into Canada?" And so, yeah, that's how duty and taxes work. And well, that shit ain't gonna be any better now that fucking dumbass has done what he's done with the trade war. So it's like, I don't know, man. In some ways, it's like this is the kind of stuff is not good for you, Thad. It may be like, oh, we're gonna joke around and at the detriment of Canada and the customs and all that stuff, but it's only hurting you, bro. This only hurts you and indirectly your son. Honestly, both your sons. If they have NBA aspirations, well, you're not going to get them drafted by the Raptors, and maybe that's part of the design. Oh, I don't want my son to play for the Raptors anyway. Well, good, because he's probably never ever going to get drafted by the Raptors, and that's one of 30 doors closed on your son, Thaddeus Young Jr. I don't even think he understood that. The other problem that's troubling to me is he mentors and teaches a lot of kids in Memphis and different places. Like he has camps, and I don't want somebody like him teaching the youth of the United States to have some sort of bias towards the Canada. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of fucked up. And that's where you see where racism and xenophobia gets passed down from generation to generation. If Thad Young's teaching young kids in Arkansas or Memphis or something like that, oh, I don't want you. You should never want to play for the Raptors on the down low. What the fuck is that? Thaddeus Young. Seriously, what the fuck is that, man? Let's see. Kaz is saying at Smooth, same here. I thought he was a good Raps alumni until I saw that. I did too. I'm completely shocked with you guys. I think he's a good guy, and I think in the down low he means well, and he isn't that much different than what we think. It's just that he brought out a real alive like feeling about things, and it shocked us. And it was like, oh, it's not exactly like what we thought it is. I still think he's a nice guy. I still think like he's in a pretty good position as an alumni with the Raptors. He could do stuff to fix it, but he could very well be like Chris Bosh and just turn his back on the country and never, ever return to Toronto ever again to raise his hand in the air and wave to the Toronto crowd as a former Toronto Raptor. Either way, I don't care. It's his choice. In some ways, he's not that important. That's another thing. So I don't give a shit either way. But, he's got one first bad step in a bad direction as a Raptors alumni now, as of yesterday. Let's see if he doubles down on it or he goes on a little bit of a like, okay, I want to fix things kind of tour. How about that? There's two choices there, Thaddeus. And in some ways, if you're the smart guy, you figure it out that it benefits you and your family and not the detriment to you. Seriously, that's what I would say right there. Yeah. Smooth saying Zach Randolph and Tony Allen. Well, you see how they carry themselves. They really let themselves go. So one might expect that stupid foolishness. That it was very shocking, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't get it totally because in some ways, I guess he's just not the real one we thought he was. That's just what we got to say here. And well, if that's what Thad Young thinks, God forbid what Otto Porter Jr. thinks. Is what I might say. Although Otto did marry a woman from Toronto, and she probably keeps him in line about his Toronto stuff and his Canada stuff. And he's probably, Otto's smart enough to shut up, not say anything, just take the money with his toe. That's what he's doing there. Yeah, Kareem's here. Let's see what Kareem's saying. Yeah. Let's see. Trevor's saying, yeah, so now we see how Thad really feels about Toronto. He said it's only nice to visit 5 days, but not to live. Well, whatever. I mean, it's not like it is what it is. We can wrap up this Thad Young talk. If there's a couple more there, I'll talk about it still. But in some ways, we're done. I don't need to talk about it anymore. I've said everything I need to say. KT saying that there was a bit more context from that Thad Young interview. His family didn't like the cold weather. Nonetheless, his crossover on Joel Embiid is his biggest highlight of his career as a Raptor. But he is a bit salty. Yeah, I don't know why. Like after, I guess because he's not playing in the league anymore, and he sees that it's not likely he's going to get on another NBA team. It's the father time has passed him, and he's done. He didn't play this year at all. That he can feel like he can be a lot more open publicly about different things. So it's like, well, the chances of me having to play for the Raptors ever again are gone out the window. Well, I mean, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm exactly with you on this. It's like, whatever. You can say what you say. We'll always have that crossover. And I'll just choose to remember you by that. How about that? Reggie's saying Chicago, Brooklyn, Indiana, Philly, cold. These are all places he played. Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's even really the cold. I mean, Shakina really does hate the cold. And I followed her the whole time they were here, and she complained about the cold and masks and the COVID so heavily the whole time she was here. She's very, very for people wearing masks, and people that didn't wear masks, she would be pissed at them. And yeah, she was like, I want to see the sun. There's no sun here in Canada. She would say shit like that on her Twitter often. I mean, it was very apparent that she didn't like the cold weather, but it's not like she was saying it about just us. She said it about Minnesota too. And she did say it about those other cities that you listed there. So she really just wants to be in Texas or Arkansas or Memphis, Tennessee. Those are the places where she's happiest. Those kind of places. Yeah. Let's see. Smooth saying he's probably one of those who voted for the Orange Man. I don't think Thad Young voted for the Orange Man. I would say that. I mean, he's politically aware, and I think most intelligent people of color understand that Donald Trump is not for them. I mean, there's dumb people that are like want to be little like entrepreneurs that have the art of the deal at their house. And they're like, oh, he's a mentor of mine. I want to be like him, even if they're, like I said, a person of color. And it's obvious that this administration is very full of white supremacy at this point. I mean, shit, they just tried to wipe the history books of Jackie Robinson. Seriously, they're treating Jackie Robinson as a DEI. They don't understand the concept of what DEI is, first of all. And that they're just so anti DEI, they're just going at everything racist like ways. They want to erase all kind of minority history, like the code breakers and the Buffalo Soldiers and Jackie Robinson. It got so bad that they were trying to erase Jackie Robinson that some very, very powerful people stepped in and stopped them and blocked them from erasing the memory of Jackie Robinson from the history books, from the official government websites, from the displays at Arlington in different veteran places, because Jackie was a veteran. And there's stories about Jackie Robinson fighting, and they wanted to get rid of it because in some ways the whole idea of the Trump administration is that there's no colors and that we shouldn't be highlighting anybody of color who had any kind of achievements, because everybody's just a person and we shouldn't see race, and we shouldn't extraordinarily celebrate a person just because they were black and did it. That's their whole mindset. But on the other hand, I'll bet you that they're going to go and celebrate all their white heroes and put them on blast and ignore the black ones like these racists have done throughout history. And that's what's going on right now. That's the crazy thing. I don't think Thad Young voted for that. No, I don't. No, I don't. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free crew. If we want to win, someone has to contain Jimmy Butler. Well, who is that man going to be? Will it be Scotty Bonds? Scotty Bonds? I don't know. Who's Scotty going to guard tonight? They don't really need to put somebody serious on Draymond. They could put Jonathan on Draymond and just let him wrestle around with him a little bit. Steph, that's somebody that somebody's going to have to keep track of for sure. Maybe Scotty will be on Jimmy Butler a bit just to neutralize him and his X factors of what he does with his hustle. Jimmy Butler. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Kaz saying the cold weather is just an excuse for NBA players that don't have any other reason to not want to play in Toronto. Chicago is colder than Toronto. Thad's excuse wasn't really the cold weather. He didn't care about the cold weather himself. It was more his wife. And I don't know, maybe his sons, I don't think his sons are necessarily against the cold weather. I think it's more that they didn't like being away from friends and family and being in another country. I don't know. I would think that the young boys had friends here in Canada that they made and they had nice times up here. But no, apparently it was so awful for them that they had to be on a podcast and express it. So yeah, Thad Young Jr., this is not good guidance by your father. This is not good guidance, I'm telling you. I think that the main excuse they had for the issues, from what Thad said and I watched, is he hated the customs. That was his biggest issue personally for him, was having to go through customs over and over again. That was his biggest problem, not the weather. It was customs, is what he said. And he said that he felt like Toronto was at a disadvantage. That doesn't help anything either. Seriously, it's like being in Toronto, you're at a disadvantage. You're not helping Ujiri, and Ujiri is very good to you, Thaddeus Young. So, man, stop being a knucklehead, bro. Stop being a knucklehead. Let's see. Kareem saying that forever rumor about RJ not being in the fold long term is a crock of shit. But in the event this happens, which it won't, I want you to scout Neek Clifford from Colorado State, similar skill set. Why are you doing this to me then? I don't want to do any more looks at draft picks anymore right now. Not until the season's over. I want to just stay in this mode. I've looked at so many draft picks already since January. And I want to do it in a more organized way once the season's over. I'm going to do a countdown, and we're going to do every single one right from the start, from the top. Cooper Flag, the day after the season's over. This is what I've decided to do. So I don't want to look at a guy to replace RJ. I'm sorry, KT. With all due respect. Well, we're going to get to these draft prospects, but I want to wait until the season's over. I'm just sick of talking about it so much. Yeah. Kaz saying, you're not a turncoat, just being realistic, like the video, everyone. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. In some ways, it is what it is. I mean, yeah, in some ways, it's more of an argument that Monique and I are having personally right now. I love Mo. Cannot say anything that would make me upset with her or hate her. I love her so much. She could be very mean to me, and I would not be upset with her because I love her and I know that her heart's in the right place. And in some ways, she is exactly right in everything that we're talking about right now. If in a perfect world, there wouldn't be this situation where the Raptors are losing, trying to lose on purpose. The NBA would be what the NBA used to be, and everybody played out for the whole entire season for the most part. But it's not that case. And in some ways, that's part of the conflict right there. In some ways, I've stood steadfast with her against tanking mentality all year long. And in some ways, she feels like I've stabbed her in the back. I'm not doing that, Mo. I'm just like I said, I take my direction from Ujiri, and what Ujiri wants is what I want. And that's because I trust him. If our president wasn't so capable and done such a good job in over 10 years now, I would mistrust him, and maybe I wouldn't be so falling in line and just saying whatever Masai wants is what I want. But I have no reason not to trust him, and that's why I'm behind him on it. Yeah, that's why I'm behind him on it. Yeah, let's see. Kareem saying that Thad Young is just being salty towards us because he's done in the NBA, and Garrett took whatever money left on the table. Thad just talking out of his ass. I wonder about all that. Like, it's probably been hurtful to him to deal with the idea that his career is over, his very long career. I mean, the man played way more years than I ever thought he would have. Honestly, when he first came in the league, I was like, okay, yeah, this guy's pretty good. But I had no idea he'd play for almost 20 years. Like, seriously, he had an extended career way past where he should have probably played. In some ways, I'd say the same thing about Garrett Temple. Average age of when you play, these guys are way above the average age, and they're getting more years than most people do. So it's like I can't feel bad for him if he's going through some midlife crisis, mid after career crisis in his life, and that's part of what just happened. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I think that you're somewhat right. Is that in some ways mentally he's going through it right now where he's like, I'm not in the league anymore, and nobody wanted me on a team at any point this year. So that may be it right there. He's salty. He's talking out of his ass. Okay, KT, I can see that. Kaz saying, does the NBA play Courtney Kirkland to say the NBA app is his favorite? Did they pay him to do that? I don't know. Courtney Kirkland's bio on the ref's website is very scant. He has like 4 categories, and he doesn't have any food. And I've joked that he's an android and a computer. He's like a Terminator model. He's like the Terminator ref because he's kind of like that, an emotionalist and very like straightforward, kind of like an android. I don't know. Courtney Kirkland putting on blast the NBA app. They pay him already. He's already getting paid. Kaz is saying that his favorite referee is Eric Dalen. Yeah, he's not bad. Seriously. Like when I look at the ref report spreadsheet, he's up there in that beautiful pink area. We got the purple area, which is the creme de la creme. And that's like Jason Goldenberg, Brett Nansel, Matt Myers, who we just had recently. These guys, Dedrick Taylor's up there, Nick Bookert, Eric Dalen. Eric Dalen is like in the top 10 refs for the Raptors. Ben Taylor's right behind him. So it's like, yeah, these guys that are up in the top tier, I have a lot of appreciation for them because they've been very kind to the Raptors historically in games, and they've had winning it happen with these refs around. So Fiercey's here. Good to see MJ. Good morning, fam, and happy game day. I'll watch maybe the first two quarters tonight as they have a tendency to switch lineups with a disadvantage. Yeah, see, and Fiercey's leaning more towards like Mo and this whole thing where she's just pissed about what we're doing. Like, I get it. Y'all ethically don't like pulling your tying one arm behind our backs when we're trying to fight. You don't like that. You want both arms to be free, and we got a good fight to the fullest extent of what we can put on the court to win. Well, we're tying one arm behind our back because Masai's tying it himself, and we got one arm to fight with. And that is the end of the bench and the end of the bench getting development late in games. I mean, I don't blame you for this also, MJ, because it is a work night. You know, there's work tomorrow on Friday, right? And this game's going to start at 10 p.m. And maybe right around when it goes to that switch, it might be time for bedtime anyway, because it's right around midnight. And you're like, I don't want to stay up and watch the end of this. You know, to me, it's fascinating, even if it's kind of predetermined that we're not going to be trying as hard as we could. It's fascinating for me to watch the young players learn and develop and get Jamal Shed out there in situations against Steph Curry in a way that is so good for the future because he's gleaning and learning some very, very good experience. So in some ways, it's like, you know, that is the whole argument between the two things and this thing in the NBA that we've gone with Nick Nurse's winning and Masai's development versus each other. Well, sometimes, you know, as a Raptors fan, I don't necessarily have to see them win. I like watching them get better as individuals and as a team, even if they don't get the W. And this is the thing. We're so lucky this year. We really have microwaved this rebuild and we're getting somewhere fast already. In some ways, teams that rebuild like this normally go through it where they lose so much and you get so few wins every once in a while. So we're spoiled in some ways. Y'all are spoiled. And y'all getting all mad about us losing lately, in some ways, it's kind of bratty, honestly, because there's no guarantees that we were even going to have any of this kind of success this season at all. That this season was a rebuild year and that we were supposed to lose a lot. And well, we've won more in some ways than we thought we would. And in some ways, we should be very grateful for that, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying there. Let's see. MJ's also saying, so if Masai wants to give us that losing experience again later, I'll just go to sleep. Simple as that. It's not your losing experience. We don't have to be self-centered about this. This is for the team. This is for the franchise. This is for the future. This is the right decision for next year and the year after that. Not necessarily about what we do right now. The present doesn't matter. We have 24 wins and the NBA season is almost over. In some ways, what are we playing for? In some ways, winning is more hurting us than helping us. This is the message I'm trying to get to you guys. It's not that I'm full Tank Nation. It's not that I want to lose. It's not that I enjoy losing. It's just that I understand in this situation, I don't need to have any kind of anxiety or angst or upsetness about them losing because it's ridiculous. And I get it. Y'all are competitors. Y'all want the Raptors to win no matter what. But it's silly to me right now. Once I'm going to say it once again, and it's fully your right to turn the TV off. If the quality of the product and what they're doing with what they're trying to do right now is turning you off itself, it's totally your right. I'm just saying. It's just that we've got to understand the assignment right now. And we got to understand the situation. And this is what Masai is deeming is the best thing to do. That's what I'm saying. Phillips is saying, Randolph, good to see Randolph Phillips in the chat once again. His words of wisdom are always very, very welcome on the chat. Let's see. Game day blessings, beloved Raptor freaks, most informative game. Imitate what's good, productive, and profitable. Avoid that which leads to failure and destruction. Be a person of destiny. I like that. I like that. You know, once again, I'll say, if you want to see something changed in the world, be that change. And that's the thing. We have way more power individually in our own sphere of influence around us to be that change. So if you don't like something that's happening in this world, be the opposite of it and go into this world and put that energy out because you will be adding in the fight against the thing you don't like, whether it's you don't like hate, well, go out with love. That's what I'm saying. You don't like selfishness, go out with giving. You know, you can always be the antidote to the things that ill the world. And in some ways, that's your power. That's your superpower. to put more out in the world of what you want to see in the world and less of what you don't. Fight against that. There you go. Great words of wisdom, Randolph Phillips. I appreciate it. And blessings to the Phillips family, all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. That's right. Put out the good stuff, and the good stuff will come back. Kaz is saying, good idea, MJ. Yeah, I mean, I don't fault you guys if you want to turn it off. It's a West Coast trip. This game's going to go till 1 a.m. and staying up the whole entire game just to see them crumble right at the end and lose with Callan Castleton and all Orlando Robinson on the court. I get it, y'all. I get it. I get it. Seriously. Isaac's saying, I have never felt bad for millionaires. With $16 million, I'll find and help the real disadvantage 10 toes down. There you go. Yeah, a reality check. Hello, Thaddeus Young. Hello, people out there. Like, well, I'm not worried about these NBA players. Like, they don't have hard lives. And oh my gosh, customs. Oh my gosh, Thaddeus. Oh, customs. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Isaac Campbell's got it real here. They don't have struggles in life. If you're lucky and you get that NBA lottery, you're good. You're good. You're good. That's right. They don't understand. That's right. Fiercely saying, I'm not mad at Thad. He must have his reasons to be salty. He seemed pretty engaged with the media stuff when the direct deposits were hitting. It was his decision to have his family here. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at him. I'm disappointed. I like the guy. I want to like him continue. It's more like this. Like, if there's somebody who's in good standing with me as a Raptors alumni, I give him one strike. Now, somebody who's like Rudy Gay, who really went in on us in his podcast in recent years about nobody wants to play in Toronto, I don't give him a freebie because he didn't really do anything to show affinity for Raptors culture or things like that. In fact, he's just a footnote as one of the best trades we ever made. So he immediately went into the persona non grata, a Raptors alumni category for me. But somebody who's in good place starting out, well, they go neutral at this point. And that's where I'm at with that. It's like, I'm not looking at you as a positive Raptors alumni anymore, but I'm not looking at you as a negative one. Let's see what your next move is. How about that? Let's see what your next move is. If Vince Carter can get back in my good books, well, anything's possible. I'll say that, Thaddeus Young. But, you want to be more of a villain, you'll get there. You'll get there. That's right. That's right. G saying, did you hear what Thad said? Shaking my head. Yeah, I did. I listened to that whole little interview part. I listened to it for the context so that it wasn't misinterpreted or shortened with just a sound clip just to make it sound like it's out of context. No, I listened to it exactly. And it's too bad because it's on that scale of what Rudy Gay said recently, as far as the sliding scale of just like bullshit. It's bullshit. I mean, I get it. Customs is annoying, but honestly, I ran through customs the last time I had to do it at Pearson like that. Like, it was a double dare obstacle course. It was easy, right on through. That's right. Kaz is saying, shout out to Andrew Jones for putting up with that merry-go-round situation this year for real. I hope next season is more stable for him. This is the thing. It's never going to be like that for the G League. It's just not the environment. You can't get established things like established starting lineup for the whole entire year. It's impossible. It's just the design of the whole thing is just anarchy. Honestly, you will not get the same players the whole entire year. In fact, you'll have so many different kinds of players filtering in all different times that you're constantly having to relearn just the basic systems of what he's trying to do there because there's just new people that showed up and have no idea what to do. That's just the nature of the G League. It's been like this for years. Eric Curry had the same thing the 2 years he coached it the last 2 years, where you can't get a whole lot established. And that's why people that expect extreme success in G League, it's just not easy. The stuff that Jerry Stackhouse did when they won the championship was special because that bench mob unit was so good. And then you not only have to have the bench mob be good and down there and available down there, but you think about this. You have to have the big club healthy because that means nobody's getting vultured up from the G League team to help the Raptors. And that's part of the settings that happened when the Raptors won the G League championship with Pascal, is that the Raptors had a healthy roster that was very capable above with Kyle and DeMar and Corey Joseph and James Johnson and Patrick Patterson, that the bench mob guys could stay and down on the G League and not really come up a whole lot. Fred did not get called up hardly at all when he was in the G League. He played G League primarily and very rarely played Raptors games. Well, Jamal Shed played primarily on the Raptors this year and very little on the G League. And that's part of it. So it's a very tough situation because in some ways your success on the G League as a coach makes it harder for you later because you did so good with these guys. They're getting snatched up and going other places. So it's just an impossible situation. And I love your wish for that, Kaz, but it's not going to happen. It's very, very rare where you'll get, all right, first of all, the Raptors have to be very healthy and not need to call up anybody because of injuries. And then also, you have to have that fine line of these guys are not doing so well that they're getting plucked up by any NBA team because they're badasses and they're getting called up for two ways in 10-day contracts. So it's just a impossible situation. In some ways, if you really want to get good at coaching, coach in the G League because it is impossible. And Darko knows this as a longtime G League coach himself. He understands just how unpredictable and unsettled and how you can't get anything established for a consistent period of time because it's so much in flux as far as players coming and going, new players coming in, injuries is another huge thing that the 905 dealt with this year that absolutely made this impossible. So it's tough. It's tough. I wish this for him too, but I'll tell you, it's very, very rare and very difficult. Very, very difficult. You have to have some of the settings I just said. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Kaz saying, yeah, G, we were chatting earlier about it. Lex will get to it eventually. Yeah, we talked about it. I went over it pretty extensively already on the chat, the Thad Young interview. Tristan saying, I like the one-on-one the Raps are doing in practice. Yeah, we got some of the highlights on the official Raptors admin of Scotty versus RJ one-on-one. And it looks so fun. And, it looks like they're switching in and out, like depending on if somebody scores or doesn't, then all of a sudden IQ's in there switching in. No, it looks really great. And they've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. I just didn't bring it up that they've been having one-on-one contests in practice, and it's been very fruitful. And Darko likes it. Darko says that it's very practical for game experience because obviously you have to do one-on-one, beat people on the court, and you can hone your one-on-one skills. Scotty's going to play you one-on-one, RJ. Yeah, you're going to have a good defender that's going to make it really hard for you offensively to try and score. So what's not to like? And it's kind of cool to watch the clips and see kind of how hard they're going at each other. Really, really good. G saying, yes, Kaz, just saw the comments. How privileged is someone that their complaint is life is customs when being paid millions? What he said was in poor taste. I think in some ways he just had a moment where maybe he wasn't thinking right. I mean, he seems like such a smart guy, and he's been so smart in all of his interviews throughout his history in the NBA that to have this kind of moment and let his guard down like this, I think he just didn't realize it. And you know what? He's probably realizing it today. Seriously. I bet you there's been a weird backlash towards him that he never has ever experienced in a weird way. It's like, oh, crap. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Nako's saying the Thad interview was kind of weird because he did a few interviews with Will Liu and talked nicely about the organization. Well, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, he should have kept his mask up instead of letting it down, is probably what it is. James is saying, still can't believe we gave a first-round pick for Thaddeus. Yeah, I don't even remember that. That's all water under the bridge. Who cares? Who cares? This shit, we could get all upset about first-round picks and trades that happened in the history of the Raptors. What matters is now. Who cares? In some ways, dragging this out, James, is like, whatever. A first-round pick is a first-round pick. It doesn't matter. Everybody overvalues first-round picks these days. It's like they act like it's some golden ticket for like Willy Wonka's factory. No, a first-round pick can be a bust or a good player or a mediocre player. It can be any such things. There are variables to it. And I'm not going back and thinking about, I wish the Raptors hadn't traded Vince Carter for Alonzo Mourning. Come on. Let's stay present, stay in the now is what I'm saying right now. That's right. That's right. Kaz saying some things you just keep to yourself, and that clearly and Thad doesn't clearly grasp that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could be that in some ways, some of his co-hosts, I mean, the hosts of the podcast, maybe they're kind of like, we're going to talk about when you were in Toronto, and these guys are assholes, and they're like, oh yeah, talk about Toronto and whatever, and like we love it if you like bash them or something like that. Who knows? Because it seemed like the hosts were enjoying him saying that more than Thad Young was really that upset. It's like in some ways, some people are like that. They're little douchey fuck faces. And I think the podcast hosts that he was on the show with were like little, like kind of cackling, like jackals kind of thing like that. That's what is like that. Yeah. Carlos here. Good to see Kaloy. Exactly. Burning bridges isn't smart. Morning, Lex, fellow freaks. Good morning to you, Kaloy. Yeah. I don't even know if he burned a bridge, but I mean, I bet Bobby and Masai don't want to get Thaddeus Young Jr. now because he obviously didn't like being in Canada. That's dumb, man. You shouldn't have let that be known. I mean, Ron Harper Jr. realized this when he got cut by us. He was not negative towards us in any kind of way because he understands the business because his father's Ron Harper Sr. And they know that, like, look, the NBA is weird, man. You can circle back and go every which way. I mean, hello, PJ Tucker, dumbass. You know, in some ways, you keep your relations good with all 30 teams, then you don't have shit to worry about. You don't lessen your options. And Ron Harper Jr. understands that. Dylan Harper probably understands that too. Not even coming in the league, but Thad Young and Thad Young Jr. ain't understanding this right now. Apparently, they ain't understanding it. Gary Trent and his family. Yeah, you don't think Gary's son and Gray's son they understand this, and Gary Trent Sr. understands this? Oh yeah, they understand it. I'm sure Gary Trent Jr. could have said some nasty things about Toronto because he wanted to be here and he didn't end up being here, did he? No, but he shut up. He ain't said nothing because who knows down the road Trent Jr. could circle back, or one of his younger siblings may be in consideration to be a part of the Raptors franchise at some point later in the future. So it's like, it's just dumb business, Thaddeus. It's just dumb business, bro. You don't want to close doors for your son before he's even gotten the NBA, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Kaz saying he's going to have the whole Raps fan base turn on him now. I know. That's the crazy thing. And this is the thing Fred and them have joked about. They say this, and they've talked about it, Norman and Fred. The Raptors fans are serious. Like, you don't want to cross them because they've seen how they can be, and they understand this. In some ways, Fred and Norman have both said things that have kind of been in this category with that, but they've been kind of, diplomatic since, and they've professed how much they love Toronto and the championship and everything like that, that they're kind of absolved of any of that kind of stuff. But they may have some of the same views as that, but they're not going to publicly say them because they know that this is a big, bad thing to do. I know Freddie loves Toronto. I know he does. Talking to Fred personally, when I met him that one time, he has a really strong connection with our team and our city that is deep, Norman, maybe not as much as deep as Fred's, but he has it too. And that's the thing. These former players, they know. They may have similar ideas. I mean, Freddie probably feels the same way as that about customs. Oh man, customs. It's crazy. I hated it, man. But he's not going to say that shit out loud because in some ways he's smart. That's right. DK's here. Good to see DK back in the chat. Raptors lineup versus Golden State Warriors tonight then. Okay. Well, the only guy who's missing for the Warriors is Gary Payton II. So we can expect the Warriors. Let me go look at their team, and I'll run down their roster. Stephen Curry, Brandon Podds at shooting guard. Moses Moody is the small forward. Jimmy Butler is the power forward. And they're starting Draymond at center. So if we play Jakob tonight, we'll have a size advantage. And I think we will be playing Yak because he sat out the last game. So it's very likely we'll have Yak Pirtle in this situation. Off the bench, they got Buddy Hield, the sharpshooter. Jonathan Kuminga is their backup power forward. Quentin Post, Pat Spencer, that old guy that looks like he's like in his 40s, who's running around for them. Kevon Looney is still on this team. He's a little bit more buried on the bench. Taron Armstrong, Trace Jackson Davis, the son of Dale Davis. And also Guy Santos is basically the roster for the Warriors right now. But, of course, we know it's all about three guys. It's about Chef Curry, Jimmy Butler, and that big, ugly dummy Draymond Green. So we'll have to see what's going on there. Kaloy saying, let's see these American players complain about Canada now that the U.S. is becoming a despot. Yeah, dictatorship. Man, I don't know. In some ways, like, I often wonder, like, this is a situation that needs to be monitored. And once again, the Raptors being in their particular singular experience in the NBA setting, just like the pandemic and things that happen and obstacles we had to overcome. Well, some of the situations that are going on politically right now are kind of scary for things for how the Raptors are going to have to operate or what's going to happen. In some ways, this is one of the things that's actually good is that there's so much important business ties between the United States and Canada that there's a lot of people pissed off about decisions that are being made in the White House right now. And, Adam Silver don't want the NBA to be fucked with. Let's just put it that way. It's a billion-dollar business that makes a lot of money, and there's a lot of money invested in games being played where the arenas are, paid for, and there's all kinds of stuff to be made. When the pandemic happened and they shut down the NBA season, that is not what they wanted to do because they were losing money when that happened. So in some ways, there's kind of a power of the billionaire corporations, billions of dollars involved in corporations that have a lot of political power in this world. In some ways, those entities have more power than us, the people, at this point. So if almighty dollar, the god money that Trent Reznor sings about in Head Like a Hole, is not getting fed, well, that machine gets mad. And in some ways, that may have more political power to keep things more in the status quo as far as everyday life continuing the way it's supposed to. Because in some ways, it's in the financial interests of the 30 teams of the NBA and Adam Silver and all the players that play in the league, the referees, the broadcasters, the team owners, that business continues. And in some ways, that could be a helpful thing in peacekeeping. Let's just put it that way. Money talks, unfortunately, in this world today. And well, if we're going to have all the detriments of it, we might as well get the benefits of it. And if the corporations don't want disruption to their business, that may keep the peace. Think about that. Yeah, think about that right there. The almighty dollar rules. Well, the almighty dollar doesn't want bullshit in the way of it being made. How about that? How about that right there? Boom goes the dynamite. Let's see. Nako's saying, I still don't regret that we traded for Thad. We were competitive at the time, and he did help a little that Philly season. Yeah. I don't have any regret on that. Once again, I don't get into this like, oh my gosh, we traded a first round pick for all due respect to James. It's just that it's like woulda, coulda, shoulda. We did what we did. We can't go back in a time machine, Marty McFly, and we're gonna just live with the repercussions and the changes as time goes on from whatever. We make good trades like the Rudy Gay trade. We do this. Greivis Vasquez turns into this. Norman Powell, OG Anunoby. It's all part of a trade tree that goes in different ways. And well, that branch, that part, trading a first round pick for Thad Young, well, we did it. I do it again because it's just how it is. That's the choice we made. I don't regret it. I don't second guess shit in my life. I can't go back and change it. Would I still be married if I changed this or this? I don't care. I'm not going to second guess it. It is exactly how it happened. My path is one that I trust, and I'm in the now. And that means sitting on this screen right now with you guys talking about the Golden State Warriors game tonight. And that's what it is. The secret to everything is staying in the now, staying in the present. Because the only thing that matters in this whole entire world is real is the now, the present. You could get stuck in your past and mistakes you made and beat yourself up and have regrets. That's not worth it. You can't go back and change it at this point. You could get all upset about the future and anxiety and stressed out about what could happen, but it may never happen. And you're putting in all this energy of feeling angst about it that may not have been necessary in the first place. So the best key to being happy is just stay present, stay right now. And I'm looking at the Warriors tonight. That's what I'm looking at. That's right. That's what I'm looking at right there. G saying, I felt his wife was complaining a lot. She was. And it was on Twitter. We saw it. Not that I want people to turn on her, but the kids agreeing to me is a reflection of hearing parents complain. Yeah. And Shakina is a nice lady. She is very well intentioned. I like Shakina. I followed her for a long time. The whole time she was on the team with Thad and being here. And it's just sad because in some ways it's kind of like, you know what it is, Shakina and Thad? Y'all were guests at our house here in Canada. You came over and you stayed for an extended time in our house. And now it's like you went somewhere else and you said, oh, yeah, they smelled. Their house looked stupid or something like that. It's just not very good guests. Let's just put it that way. It's just not carrying yourself as good guests. Like it's kind of like you said hurtful things about somebody who put you up and allowed you to stay at their house as a guest. And they've heard it now. And they're kind of like, whoa, I didn't think that it was like that. I thought that they liked us. I mean, they did come downstairs every morning and ate breakfast with us and smiled to our faces. And now they're back home and they're saying that we smelled. Oh man, I'm so heartbroken. I mean, that's kind of how this feels. Like Shakina and Thad. I mean, would you do this to family that you went and stayed with, and then you turn around and say, "Oh, I hated staying at their house. They made you come in and check all your bags and go through metal detectors." Why did they do that? By the way, it's their house. I don't know. I think he's a former customs agent. Oh, okay. That's why. Yeah. Let's see. Reggie's saying customs for NBA, NHL, and MLB guys are way different to what average people experience. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what are they doing? Are they worried about, like, these guys being drug mules? Like, is there some sort of crazy organized crime that's, like, strapping huge bales of cocaine and heroin to NBA players as they cross the border? Yeah, it's like a Locked Up Abroad episode. No, no, they're probably getting a pat on the back and saying, "Hey, good game last night, Scotty Barnes." Shit like that is going on. It's like, what the hell do they think is going on here? They going in the little room? Like the guy from that came back from Jamaica with the big duffel bag? No, they're not going in that little room. No, they're not. They're not going in there. Kareem saying Thad owns a trucking company. With all the tariffs talk, his enterprise is slowly coming to a halt. He's extremely fragile. He doesn't mean this shit he's saying. Okay, so you're saying like he's under stress financially because his trucking company may be messed up because of the tariffs. We ain't got but one person to be mad at, which everybody else is mad at. In fact, they're saying right now that there's universal hate for Musk and Trump in a way that is on a whole new level of hating. That the whole entire world hates these guys, except for their mindless little dumbass racist followers. Otherwise, or tech bros or incel guys, or like that's what they did. Elon like appealed to like these dudes that stay at home and just sit on the computer and are absolute like racist little women hating trolls, and like he fed into their anger about them not being able to get laid, the incel stuff. And that's part of their army is like these guys that like look up to them, people that look up to like the Andrew Tate and all that bullshit, Joe Rogan people. Like, oh, this is what a real man's about. Oh, real men's like this, and they look at women as objects and fuck black people. Yeah, I'm racist and all this kind of stuff. These little assholes are like kind of their little minion army is little fucking trolls that sit in the basement and talk all kinds of ugly, crazy shit. And these are the motherfuckers that be standing up for Elon like he's some sort of fucking hero or something like that. Yeah, you don't want to be like that. If you're standing up for Elon Musk right now, you're on the wrong side of shit. I'm going to say that right now. You're very much on the wrong side of shit. Let's see. Kaz is saying it smooth. I was going to say, do they not have special privileges? I've never flown before, so I have no knowledge on flying procedure. Yeah, there's like some sort of gold medallion line, and they don't even have to come and sit with the people. Like they can go and sit in special lounges for famous people in the airport that nobody sees, and they get like champagne and or whatever they fucking want. They could even get like private massages while they're waiting, sitting in the airport, massaging them. The Raptors don't even use a regular plane; they fly on a private plane, and they don't have to wait around for anything. They can come straight to the airport, get everything checked, and then they just go right on plane and it takes off and it goes. It is really kind of bougie and stupid. The fucking like the customs thing. I get it, but they're two different countries. That are you saying you want us to become a part of the United States so there's no customs? Oh my gosh, that's fucked up, man. And Canadians will really hate you for that. Oh yeah. Yeah, Smooth saying at Kaz, in a lot of instances, they sit on the plane and the customs agents go to them, no lineups. Yeah, yeah, I'm telling you, it's that Nexus portal shit. You get Nexus portal and go in there, and they'll just come on and they'll just say, "Hi, what did you bring?" And it's like he's sitting on there playing cards with the other players on the team while they're getting asked for customs. I really don't feel like the problems the NBA players have are like any kind of like problems that normal people have. They're first world problems. They're like ultra gilded age first world problems. Seriously, seriously. Let's see. Nako's saying border agents are dicks. Most of the time, they act as if you need to be proven innocent. Well, there's a real problem in the States right now, and without going too political, with misidentification. This is crazy. Like, all right, here's a really crazy story personally for myself. In high school, when I was living in Tallahassee, I had a very good friend of mine named Paul Tan, and he's Filipino. And well, Paul Tan grew up in the United States. He's American, and he's never been any other nationality. He was born in the United States. Well, in his 40s, as a father and a husband with two young daughters, living in San Francisco. In fact, he's a huge Warriors fans, guys, and he's my Warriors friend that I talk trash with as far as things. And it was really fun around the championship. Let's just put it that way. But Paul went on a trip to Minnesota recently, last year, and well, his name is the same name as somebody in Minnesota who was being wanted by ICE. Well, they came and got my friend from high school and they threw him in jail because of a misidentification. And they thought that he was the other Paul Tan, not the Paul Tan that he is. He sat in jail for like a month before they clear this up. And it's disgusting. And he said, if I didn't have the resources, the family and the friends, I would have rotted in jail, misidentified for this other person. This man has never been another nationality than the United States. He's Filipino. Yeah, he looks like a guy from Philippines, but they didn't believe him, and there was mistaken identity, and he was held without due process, honestly, correctly. And he said basically on Facebook afterwards that if this can happen to me, guys, it can happen to anyone. And our system is broken in the United States. So there's a lot of misidentifying just basically purely on visual, how you look. If you look like you're Mexican, you could be born in the United States right now and you could be detained by ICE just because they think you look like you're Mexican and you're completely legal and on top of things. And on top of that, they're also deporting people that actually have legal green cards and have done things properly. People that are in the stages of the the DACA program, and they're doing everything correctly, and they're still getting scooped up and sent other places. I heard a horror story about a woman who's never been to Laos, but is being deported to Laos and doesn't even speak the language there. And she needs some sort of insulin to live because of her diabetes. And she's screwed now. And she's in this country. She's never living her life because of this kind of bullshit. I'm saying this is really crazy shit. And if a friend like mine from high school named Paul Tan could be misconstrued for somebody else who's named Paul Tan and spend time in jail for months, this is the United States at this point. It's not safe to travel to, guys. And forget about the boycott US as far as don't go down there for your vacation. It's not fucking safe to go there because they're grabbing people willy-nilly and they're fucking putting them in jail with no due process. It really has truly become a dictatorship. And it's really at the whim of what he wants to do. In fact, he wants to punish everybody who talks shit about him. Seriously, there's no free speech. It's really, really deteriorating quickly in the United States democracy. And we need to be aware of this. We need to be aware of this. I couldn't believe that story about my friend Paul. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. And he didn't deserve anything like that to happen to him. And honestly, in a just world, he has a lawsuit against the government for what happened to him. He has a lawsuit. But you know what? The way it's going downhill, I don't see that there's any justice or legality in anything in the United States. It's going to be so chaotic and anarchy with the fucking destruction of their government by Donald Trump and Elon Musk. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy down there. Be careful and don't go down there if you don't have to. I told my family, I was like, if you want to see me, you better come up to Canada because I'm not trying to come down there anymore. Because in some ways, it's sad to me because I don't want to see the United States turn into some sort of fucked up oligarchy dictatorship like it's doing right now. Seriously, it's crazy. It's crazy. All right, let's keep going. Kaz saying, oh, okay. Thanks for the clarification, Smooth. There you go. It's willful ignorance, which is worse, in my opinion. There you go. Stargate saying, to be honest, who cares what he thinks? Who is Thad Young that we should be mindful of? We are giving way too much energy to him, his words. Fuck him. Well, this is a reaction channel on Raptors related news, and this is a news story from yesterday. So we do have to do it justice to talk about it. And that's all we're doing today. But I agree with you, Stargate. Who the fuck is he, right? Carlos saying, knowing Toronto fans, that is going to get a lot of backlash with this. Yeah, I could see this. I could see this. Gerald saying, American customs are for sure worse than Canadian customs. It depends. It depends. Honestly, it depends. Having a lot of experience with this over a long, long, long time, it depends. And it also depends on whether you're at the border or not. If you're driving into the border, that can be very different. The Canadian customs is very tough when you're coming into Canada from the United States in a car. Very, very tough. In the airport, it's a little different. Canadian customs could be a little bit less than the American in that case. In the airports, the Americans really do check you like crazy in the planes. But I've noticed at the borders when you're driving, Canada is way more checking in cars and coming across the border than the US. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Stargate saying, so don't they go through customs when they go on their trips to Dubai and shit? They're full of shit with this Canadian customs complaint. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I agree with you to an extent. Kareem saying, I just imagine Lex running through customs like he was on an episode of Amazing Race. I did do that shit. And if you've flown through Pearson, you know the long ass hallways And the crazy thing is they took away the old escalator walk where you could run on it and it's going underneath you and you could go extra fast. They took those away, the walking walkways. And there's that very long corridor to run to the customs room when you're on arrival to Pearson. You know, if you flown, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't have a bag on wheels. I usually have one big duffel bag, and I put that some bitch on my shoulder, and I run like I'm in the army. That's what I look like in the airport. I'm running through like I got this big, huge bag on my shoulder, and people are like pulling their bags behind them, and I'm running with this thing up on me. It's crazy. Yeah, you probably got a pretty good visual of me. That's probably accurate. G saying, and talking about the cold. Hello, your kids want a basketball career, and only a few areas are warm all year round. Not too smart, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I don't think that Thaddeus was thinking about Thad Young Jr. when he's saying all that. I don't think he was, and he probably should have been, because that's the future for your family right there. Is your son's coming up? You're done, bro. You're done, and you should be thinking about helping your son have a good career and not trying to take away some of his choices. That's what I'll say right there. Nago saying Giannis plays in the coldest city you could play for in the NBA. Yeah, I don't really think it's about the cold for Thad. It may have been for Shakina, but I don't think it was about the cold for Thad. Reggie saying willful ignorance is being ignorant, and when someone knows better, not good, man. That is not a guy I respect anymore. See, that's what I'm saying, bro. You had fans up here in Canada, you lost, and you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to do it, and that's right. Again, he probably voted for the team, man. I don't think he did, though. No, I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure that most of the NBA players did vote for Kamala, guys. Like seriously, Jonathan Isaac voted for the team, man. But other than that, I don't know who else would. And in some ways, we can't just say that. And honestly, I wouldn't even say that that man got as many votes as y'all think. Seriously, Nako's saying Boston pretty close to the water. It can't be that much colder than Toronto. No, I'm going to say this. You guys are right. These other cities are colder than Toronto. Having lived in Toronto most of the last 10 years and understood just how warm that city is in the winter, it's on the right side of the lake. It's on the north side of the lake. All the lake snow gets dumped on Buffalo. All the lake snow gets dumped on Chicago. All lake snow gets dumped on Cleveland. Yeah, and being close to water like Boston is, yes, it's cold. It's cold. New York is the same as Toronto. New York and Toronto have the same cold. Exactly. They're pretty similar exactly all the time. And the other places, they're colder usually, like Minneapolis, like Chicago, like Cleveland. Those cities get colder than we do. They do. It's just the damn truth. They don't understand that, though. They don't understand that. Kaloy saying probably Thad salty. We didn't pick him as our vet and got traded away. Yeah, I don't know if it's that. I think he's just being honest, and he has enough time away from his career, but he's not realizing that this is not smart to do still, even though you're not in the NBA. You know, because your son wants to be in the NBA, right? Your son wants to be in the NBA. Tristan saying, I could see Oshai spending time guarding a Jimothy. Jimothy, I like that. You call him Jimothy. I'm going to give Tristan Trey a dunk for two reasons. One, he's putting us back on track with what I should be talking about instead of Thaddeus. And also, you made a funny joke that I've never heard the Jimothy before. So Tristan Trey has been a superstar this year with the dunks so far. He's been killing it. So, yeah, we're going to put you down for another dunk. He's down here. Yeah, he's got his second one. There you go. Six dunk. There you go, Tristan. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Yeah, I can see Oshai guarding Jimmy Butler. I could see that. I could see that. Cool Cat saying we gave Thad a social presence and overpaid him. And look at his comment today. Trying to be relevant by using the trope, Canada's too cold and customs, loser. There you go. It doesn't, listen, Cool Cat, it doesn't say stuff like that very often. That's a biting insult. She just called Thad Young a loser. Wow. That hits harder when it comes from the coach. I'm going to tell you that right now. It seriously does. He's definitely just salty. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why he did that. Anyway, we're talking about it too much, guys. Kaloy saying, what's up with, hang on. It jumped. I want to make sure I don't miss this comment. What's up with, okay, here we go. What's up with these players going full throttle on podcasts? I think that it's just like they see like things like Draymond and Podcast P and Patrick Beverly and different people are doing different shows. Now, some of it's an extension of their personalities, like Pat Bev, Gilbert Arenas. These guys are certain kind of personalities, but then you could have a podcast done by somebody like Danny Green, which is more sensible and more like tactful and smart about what he says. Danny Green's a very, very intelligent guy, and he's going to get into broadcasting more and more. But that's the thing. It's just the different personalities of them come out more. And well, maybe we didn't know Thad Young's personality as well as we thought in some ways. I mean, Pat Bev's Pat Bev. We knew Pat Bev is Pat Bev. Draymond is Draymond. Draymond is Draymond. You know, it's in some ways we find out more quiet players that don't really get themselves opinionated like Thaddeus did. Then we find out. Then we find out. Reggie saying, I didn't recognize Tony Allen, man. Zach Randolph, they both look awful. Gosh, they're just big. You know, athletes, when they don't continue to take care of their bodies, they can have a proclivity to put on weight and get really heavy set. It's a battle. It's a battle. And in some ways, this is part of the reason why, especially bigger framed athletes, well, this happens with wrestlers just as much as basketball players. You put on that extra weight, you have all kinds of extra health problems later on because you're used to having a slight body that's very strong and like athletic. And then you just stop working out and your body's big and it just accumulates fat on it. You can have all kinds of issues. So it's really important for former players to stay in good shape. I heard that comment by that idiot that was on the podcast with Tim Bontemps and Brian Winders about thinking that the Grizzlies team with Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph and Tony Allen is more beloved by Memphis Grizzlies fans than the Raptors fans feel about our championship team. So stupid. What that guy's an idiot. I wasn't necessarily going to bring him up, but y'all kept bringing up the Grizzlies and this guy being such a homer and saying this bullshit, man. And as Brian Winders rightfully put to his face, he said they didn't even get past a certain round of the playoffs, and the Raptors won the championship. You are crazy, and I'm going to set you straight on this. Yeah, people are just going to say out of pocket stupid shit. Like that guy, I guess his name's Tim McMahon or some shit like that. Idiot that said that. Really, really dumbass. Really, really dummy. Of course, that championship for the Raptors means so much to Raptors fans and not just people in Toronto, across the whole country of Canada. You dumbass. What an idiot. Let's keep going. Reggie's saying the only thing that tells you they were professional player is their height. Other than that, they look gross, man. Those guys, man. Well, Zach Randolph, I could have told you Zebo was going to be looking a little crazy in his body as he got older. In some ways, it makes you realize, wow, Shaq and Charles are kind of actually keeping in shape. It kind of like is what it tells you when you see this, you know. It's crazy. Reggie's saying the NBA should have a help desk for how you look after your career ends. I'm being serious, man. Well, they should have, you know, much like they have rookies have help when they come in the league with financials and taking care of their body and stuff. Maybe they should have aftercare thing. And this may be something that Jose Calderon, as a leader for the retired NBA Players Association, should be talking about. Is like, let's get healthy advice and healthy mentors for former players so that they can have good health outcomes after their playing career with their bodies and how they're doing. I mean, that may be something that Jose's already been doing in some ways. And it could be these players are just going full Zion after they're done. They're just like, yeah, we don't care. We got all the Circle K chips and jerky and candy and pop, and they're just going crazy. Eat McDonald's, Domino's pizza. You know, I don't know what they're doing, man. I believe they should get guidance, though. I think you're right. Kaloy saying, I remember Thad Young and Scotty having issues before, right? They got into a spat in the shoot around. Yeah, there was a halftime, and I sided with that at that time, but maybe I have to think back and wonder maybe he was the asshole in this situation. Now, all the diehard Scotty fans were just on Scotty's side and said Thad was an asshole and an old piece of crap for coming at Scott like that. It was basically what happened was, what I remember is Scotty got into it with Gary Trent in the shoot around at halftime, talking like very heated and like arguing. And Thad came in as the peacekeeper and told Scotty to stop arguing with Gary for some reason. And then Scotty continued, he was still pissed and he didn't like what Thad said, and they got into it. So that's what I remember happening, how it went down. It was actually an incident with Scotty and Gary, and Thad was being the peacekeeper and trying to step in, and Scotty was just being abrasive to both of them. And in some ways, I was kind of being cautionary to Scott and saying, listen to your old head, listen to your vet. But in hindsight, with this new information, maybe Scotty was fully in the right. I don't know. Thinking back now, Cool Cat saying Garrett Temple's baby was born here in Toronto. That says a lot. Yeah. She was born in Mount Sinai, right downtown on University Avenue near Dundas Street.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, Freddie's kids were born here, DeMar's kids were born here, Kyle's kids were born here. You know, a lot of different Raptors have had children that are Canadian, and well, Garrett Temple's the most latest one, most latest. Yeah, Tristan saying we're probably going to surpass our win total from last season, one more game. Yeah, I want us to. That was my one goal for the season. I said, I don't care how many we win exactly. I just want to win more than 25. And well, we got 24 right now. We got to win two more. I don't think it will be tonight. And who knows? Maybe on Sunday we'll beat the Spurs. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Let's see. Carlos saying that breaking news: Bill Chisholm, managing partner at Symphony Technology Group, has agreed to purchase the Boston Celtics from the Grusbeck family for a valuation of $6 billion. This is really good news, honestly. I'm thanking you for breaking news right now because honestly, it's better that it's this group and not Bezos. I was really worried that Jeff Bezos and Amazon was going to buy the Celtics. There were some overtures that was going to happen, but thank God that's not the case. It seems here, and that's some other group is involved. This is good. This is good because I was really kind of waiting to hear the new owner of the Celtics, and this breaking news is welcome, for at least from what I initially know of it. We may find out that there's connections or something, and this group is just part of something, but we'll see. It's better than hearing that Jeff Bezos has just straight up bought the Celtics. Let's just put it that way. James is saying, like you said, if we got to stick around, if we stick around 5 to 10 pick, so we can draft Malak. No point in winning games. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just in their DNA. I can't help but feel like I'm on their side too. I'm just trying to look at it clear headed. It's the heart versus the head kind of argument. And Monique and Fiercey are with their heart completely. In some ways, they're not thinking totally with their heads on this, and they just think with their heart they want the Raptors to win. They want the Raptors to win. In some ways, I respect that so much, and I love them for it. I really do. But it's tough because, and part of it is the whole season being anti-tank, and then all of a sudden at the end, Lex flipping and saying, "You know what? I'm okay with us tanking right now." It's disheartening to Mo, and I've disappointed her. I've disappointed her in some ways. She's looking at down on me for flipping like this, and I get it. In some ways, I respect her for looking down on me for this. I really do. It's crazy. Infamous saying, "Salute, freaks." I agree, Lex. Do Raptors fans not realize that we were ahead of schedule? All of our rookies are getting exposure, experience in real time that can do nothing but help us. Exactly. Infamous. Exactly. In fact, all right, let's look at something on ESPN right now, guys. There is an article up on the main page, and Scotty's on the middle of the picture with De'Aaron Fox, Victor, Donovan Clingan, and LaMelo Ball. And the article is saying, how close is every NBA rebuild to title contention? We're stacking 11 teams and 3 wild cards. Well, the Raptors are pictured in this picture, so they're going to talk about the Raptors in this article, obviously. I have not looked at it yet, so I want to see what they're saying. They're saying that the Spurs are number 1 on this ranking for as far as like rebuild rankings is what this called. Spurs are number 1. I mean, they got Victor. They're going to say Charlotte's number 2, which is weird. I don't know if they're ahead of us in their rebuild. The Wizards are number 3. Okay, now you're making me laugh. Ha, ha, ha. The Nets are 4. Okay, they may have just wanted to make some sort of rebuild ranking to kind of sewer us and make us seem like we're not as far ahead by putting a bunch of teams that are not as far as we are above us in this ranking. Jazz number 5. Okay, this doesn't make no sense. They got us at number 6. It's weird. All right, so they're saying the Raptors have 6 players under 25. They have no offseason cap space, and they have 5 tradable first-round picks. Players on rookie scale contracts: 4. Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, and Jacoby Walter. The strategy: when the Raptors moved on from Siakam and Anunoby last year, the stated expectation was that Toronto would endure just a short stint in the lottery. Toronto acquiring Emmanuel Quickley as part of the Anunoby trade and giving him a 5-year contract last season was proof of that. Why don't they ever mention RJ? Anyway, so 2 was the Raptors trading for Brandon Ingram at the trade deadline and then giving him a $120 million extension through 2028. Now the team is doing all it can to maximize its draft slot, though having the league's easiest remaining schedule by design by the NBA, you fucks, has Toronto projected by ESPN's Power Index to move up to the 8th pick by season's end after spending most of the year among the league's worst teams. Well, we're in the 7th pick right now, and you're saying that we're going to fall below the Spurs. I don't know if that's true. We'll have to see. Is it working?
What's clear is the Raptors should be back among the teams fighting for playoff positioning rather than a lottery spot next season. By that definition, the plan is working, but the goal isn't just to be a playoff team, it's to contend for home court in the Eastern playoffs. Estimated return to relevance in terms of the playoffs, it should be next season. In terms of being a factor in the East, that's likely a couple of seasons away. If Toronto doesn't strike it rich in the lottery, it's going to come down to whether Barnes can make another leap to consistent all NBA territory. I think this is all very fair. ESPN is actually designated that they see us as a playoff team next year, but they don't have faith that we can be a top 4 Eastern Conference team with home court advantage in the playoffs. Well, let's prove them wrong next year, Darko, in a year when we're going to be hopefully very healthy, a schedule that's kind of fair, and hopefully ability to go and be a top 4 team in the East next year and prove them wrong. That was actually kind of fair. I don't like that they ranked us so far down against other teams. I think that our rebuild's in way better shape than the Nets, that's for sure, the Jazz, that's for sure, and the Wizards and the Hornets. Maybe not with the Spurs. The Spurs, I'll give them maybe number 1, but we should be number 2 on this list and not number 6. That's crazy. Did they put anybody below us even? They put the Pelicans below us and the Pistons. They actually think the Pistons rebuild's behind us. Man, they're not paying attention. The Pistons are actually in the playoffs this year, and they're going to do something this year. Hawks at number 9, Portland at number 10. So at least we weren't the worst. The Bulls at number 11. And then they've got a couple of teams that are wild cards. Will they or won't they? The Sixers, the Suns, and the Mavericks as far as where they're at. There's the Bill Chisholm news right here. Let's see. It's the largest sale for a franchise in North American sports history, surpassing the Washington Commanders being sold for $6 billion in 2023. So it's $6.1 billion. It's just a little bit more. This guy, Chisholm, is a lifelong Celtics fan who was born and raised in Boston. And he has people like Rob Hale and other people that are involved with him. Okay, well, I'm just glad that like I said, it isn't Amazon that bought the Celtics. That would have been bad. Honestly, I would have thought there would have been a collusion problem if the Celtics were owned by Amazon, with Amazon being the new broadcast partner with the NBA in general. There would have been maybe some collusion, and maybe that would have been probably a problem of having Amazon being a owner of one of the teams, seeing as it's one of the main broadcasters at this point. So that may be bad. Let's see. Randolph saying, Lex, fans need to understand that the game is played by the players on the court and by the front office in the organization. Chill out and let the games play itself out. There are many more seasons. That's right. In some ways, we can't just think about the short term. Right now, we're in a long-term thought process right now. And, it is what it is. Once again, we have to understand what we can and cannot control in our lives. And you can control what you say, Thad Young. You can control what you do in your life, but you can't necessarily control what other people are going to say or do. And you have to understand that. And that is a power in understanding that, is what I'm saying right there. And, the front office is going to do what the front office is going to do with our team. They're going to do what they're going to do. Wayne saying, morning, Raptor Freaks. We have surpassed our win total from last year, so Lexicon is okay going forward. Not yet. We haven't done it exactly yet. We still need 2 more wins to be over our win total. So right now we're at 24. We won 25 last year. We need 26, and then I'll be happy. If we only win 2 more games for the whole year, I'll be happy. But I'd like to win more like Monique and MJ also. I would. I'd like to win more just like them. In my heart, it's like that. It is. Cool Cat saying, that makes me think twice about Scotty's reaction, and Scotty was right. Thad, as a vet, probably was responsible for the locker room challenges. Siakam protects Scotty, and Thad jealous of rookies. Yeah, I don't want to paint Thaddeus as a complete opposite of what we thought he was, as he's a real problem in the locker room. I don't think that's right either. I think that Thaddeus is a longtime NBA veteran who was very helpful in guiding the young players on NBA ways. Now, he may have been on the down low somebody who was kind of not totally helpful to keep people in Canada, but in some ways, it's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, it makes you kind of go back and think about everything with Thaddeus. And you have to think about everything because he's totally shown another side of himself that we didn't even know existed. And it's tough. Nako's saying, with the amount of shooting they were getting Scotty to do this season, of course, they were prioritizing development.
First year in his basketball career, he's been a number one option, by the way. I don't even think he's our number one option right now, even. Like he's had times where he's been more focal point and he's been more aggressive with getting his offense, but still Scotty is not doing it at the level where we would be happiest as far as being a go-to takeover guy. And the number one option is RJ. It's just apparent. He's the leading scorer for the team. And often in games, RJ is the guy who's getting the ball in his hands and he's getting to do most of the stuff on his own. Scotty's just not getting the same level of possessions and doing that. And he, in some ways, I wish he was, but in some ways, that's what they've decided to do. As far as he's a glue guy, taking the top defensive assignment, and the scoring and the things that Scotty does is kind of secondary, honestly, to those things. That's what I would say right there. Yeah. Let's see. Cool Cat saying we are not tolerating disrespect. Thad, don't ever come back to the country. Damn, Cool Cat is like that. I'm gonna give her a dunk for this. Seriously, I didn't realize this. I mean, in some ways, I get it. This climate we're in right now. In some ways, it's like you're either with us or not. And honestly, him saying this is really poor timing, considering what's going on right now. In some ways, you should be helpful and supportive to our country. And this kind of stuff is not helpful. You got 15 points on the dunk charts, 5 dunks for Cool Cat this year on that one. That's just for being feisty and telling him he can't come back. Kaloy saying no one place is perfect. Everything has its drawbacks, but these kind of comments kind of shows the thinking behind these personalities. I'm disappointed in that. Yeah. Yeah. G's liking Cool Cat style. Yeah, we've liked Cool Cat style for a while, right, G? Long time Raptor freaks, long time friends. And Cool Cat's awesome. We love Cool Cat. If it's saying I'm far from disappointed about the season. The season was a lot better than I expected because I see the direction we're going in the future. Young players, salary, flexibility, etc. Yeah, exactly. Infamous is right. It's not necessarily the progress, it's the direction we're going in. And the direction is looking really, really good. It is very, 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 very good. Very, very bright. And I'm just saying, you know, if you'd asked me at the beginning of the season that we'd be at this position with what we've done and gotten to right now, and this is in the development areas, not in the win totals, not in different things. I looked at the schedule. I saw this bullshit about the easiest stuff at the end and the very hard stuff at the beginning. And I knew the NBA gave us some bullshit. And I knew that this would be happening now where people would be upset because we're winning too much in the easy part of the schedule. And some people would be upset, like Monique and MJ also, that they're not trying to win as much as they could. The fact that we are and what we did with Shed, Jacoby, Jonathan, Ulrich, even in the time that he developed and while he was healthy, has been all really, really good. And not only that, the development of people like Jakob, RJ, Scotty, Emmanuel, that stuff happened too. That stuff happened too. So I'm with Infamous. This has been a very successful year for the Raptors, even if the NBA gave us one of the worst schedules I've ever seen in my life. Seriously, this was a horrible schedule this year. Really, really bad schedule this year. Tristan saying, I think we are ahead of a schedule as well. Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe right on. Okay. Yeah. We're not behind. That's for sure. I would say we're probably ahead. Cool Cat saying the NBA is growing globally. That's business. Players that can't embrace the business model won't be successful in the NBA's future plans. Yeah. And you know what? You know what part of this phenomena is too, also? It's insecurity, honestly. Cool Cat. Think about this. Like the NBA has always been dominated by Americans. The U.S. has always just been the creme de la creme in basketball in the entire world. But that is not true anymore. And in some ways, it's indicative of other areas in the world too, and innovation and science and technology. The U.S. is not invested in research and development because corporations just want the bottom line and they cut costs. So there's not as good innovation in any kind of field. Well, this is happening in basketball. In some ways, they're lazy, casual ways for prep schools and bringing up players. And in some ways, their motivation and their priorities are in the wrong places. They may be more in like figuring out how to get this player money than actually getting this player better. And that's suffered for the development of basketball and the basketball talent. And the talent from around the world is coming in better. And we see it in the top players that are in the MVP race, a Canadian and a guy from Serbia. And, you know, you got a guy from Greece, a guy from Slovenia. You've got all these other countries with top stars, and it's scary and intimidating to Americans in some ways. And so Insecurity will lash out in insults and kind of dumb stuff or poo-pooing. That's some of the stuff like the anti European or international players sentiment around the All-Star game with Chuck's team being the international team. Some people had some comments around All-Star weekend that were xenophobic and pro-America first kind of bullshit propaganda that it actually tells an insecurity, honestly, because the damn truth is the rest of the world's caught up to the US. They even made a big deal about this at All-Star break, arguing about it. And some of the very prideful people, like I think it was Draymond Green, in fact, who said, "No, the rest of the world isn't catching up to us yet." And he's just, in some ways, he's kidding himself when he says shit like that. And that's a whole part of the sentiment is, and it's not even their fault totally, because I know growing up in the States, they're programmed to be undyingly patriotic and just believe the US is best at everything in the whole entire world. It's propaganda that is fed into them and part of, propping up the whole mentality of what the US is supposed to be. Well, if the US isn't going to act like what the US is supposed to be at this point, they are nothing what they are anymore. It isn't what it is anymore. The Pledge of Allegiance, the democracy, the freedom they talk about is crumbling in real time right in front of us right now. So in some ways, it's like you can go ahead and say what you want, but the reality and the truth in the world is out there, and the world is getting better in basketball, and y'all's insecurity is showing with the little snarky lines and insults is what I would say to that. Yeah, that's what I'd say right there. That's right. Tristan saying, Lex, where does the rookie scouting new player acquisitions this season rank for you over other years? I mean, I honestly have been disappointed in rookie classes pretty much for the last 5 or 6 years. I don't think that the NBA is getting good players into the league overall as a whole from drafts at this point. And it really has a lot to do with what I just talked about is the priorities in the earlier stages of basketball development for young people is wrong at this point. Some ways it's about names. Some ways it's about more like about not the right kind of skill learning. It's like they should be learning about passing and playing off of their teammates, but they're more individual skill oriented as far as learning how to dribble fancy or do fancy stuff as an individual, but not necessarily learning as much team basketball and understanding playing off your teammates more. That's a big problem with the young crops of American players coming up through the system in the last few years. So I don't know. I mean, if I'm gauging draft classes, this class is better than last year, is what it seems like to me, but I wouldn't say it's better than Victor's year. How about that? Victor's year maybe the best of the last 3 years. Last year was the worst, and this year is going to be the second best between the last 3 years. Is that kind of the answer you wanted? Wayne saying, I'm yet to be surprised by anything on athletic articulates. An athlete articulates, especially one from the United States. Yeah, I mean, people going to have some crazy ass opinions and say some out of pocket shit. That's for sure. Gerald's saying talent value we brought in exceeds the talent value of Siakam. With respect to Siakam, hit on Shed and Jacoby, Mobo and Battles showing flashes. IQ is worth his contract when healthy, productive season. RJ Barrett is worth the money he's being paid too. Yeah. Cool Cat saying Otto Porter Jr. is always in Canada per statement. He has family here. We extended Thad's usefulness. Spurs were going to release him and we saved him. Yeah, we gave him a couple extra years in the league, probably. That's probably very true. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't want to go full in on Thad right now. Like I said, he went from positive to neutral with me. We'll see where he goes from here. If we hear another story or some other thing, he may very well come out with something to counterbalance this that gets me in his right place. He may clarify. He may say some certain things because he realizes this PR disaster he started yesterday. Mike's here. Good to see Logical Raptors fanatic. Y'all, Project Truth always. If you want a good factual Raptors related channel to learn about the salary cap and the GM moves of Bobby Webster and what Masai Ujiri is doing, Logical Raptors Fanatic is a great channel for you. Really good, digestible, bite-sized clips that are usually on a very specific subject, like and very, very oriented around the X's and O's of how to run a basketball team properly. Mike, you do such a good job. I appreciate you so much. He's saying in the Thad trade, we got a high second, so we only moved back like 7 or 8 spots for Thad. Saying a first for Thad isn't completely right. There you go. I like that Mike is clarifying and fact checking and giving us the straight deets on stuff. I appreciate that, Mike. Wayne's saying, not related to basketball, but I will never choose any foreigner sports or any other genre over our ambassador. I know lots of Caribbean folks who are independently wealthy through their skills by him. You're talking about with Drake. That's interesting. So he's firmly on Team Drake compared to Team Lamar. And there's that funny meme that came out for the March Madness saying, well, I guess Drake won because Drake is in the tournament and Lamar did not get in the tournament. Talking about the colleges, the universities, Drake University is in the March Madness, whereas Lamar University did not get in. So some people are saying, oh, Drake won the war, won the battle because his team's in the March Madness and Lamar's is not. And that's pretty funny. Let's see. Cool Cat saying that's why our Groat, Lowry, and our original bench mob are loved and respected. They understand this. Kyle Lowry, let's be honest, he may have some personal things that he didn't like about being in Toronto, but he's not going to ever let it see the light of day. Seriously. Of course, but he's going to more talk about how much he loves this place and how much this place means to him. And that's what he should do. That's the smart businessman. That's the smart guy. There may be things that Kyle would say that would piss us off and see him in a totally different light. And he may very truly believe them, but he will not say them publicly. I'll bet you money. But we have to be honest about this. We have to be honest about this. These guys are, everything is not perfect. Playing in Toronto is not probably totally ideal. There probably are some downsides. We have to be honest, but there are a lot of upsides too. And well, you want to be the person who's going to point to the bad stuff? Okay, Thad Young, you go ahead. You should have talked about the good stuff, and Raptors fans will love you more today. That's what I say right there. Carlos saying, wow, that's scary, especially for us visible minorities. That's what I'm saying. I know Kaloy's from the Philippines. And the thing that happened to my friend Paul is something that could happen to him in the United States. It's crazy. I mean, it is really, really racist and fucked up down there right now, guys. It's really, really fucked up. And a lot of the progress and the things that we've gone to, people that are racist and right wing right now, fascists that support Donald Trump, are trying to correct what they feel like has been wrong since the civil rights movement. Like that's literally when Kamala was saying last year, we're not going back. She meant we don't want to go back to the 1950s or the 1940s when it was still very, very fucked up before the civil rights movement. And that's the direction that Trump and his people want. That's where they talk about make America great again. Let's make it racist and absolutely impossible for people who aren't white to do anything in our society. That is where they're at this point. And that's not freedom. That's not democracy. That's not American. And that's not equality, is what I'm saying right there. Yeah, it is scary. It's very, very scary. And it's messed up, man. Nako saying our customs, hang on, it jumped. I want to make sure I don't miss the comments. Our Canadian customs driving don't give me that hard of a time. USA Customs do a lot to justify checking you. In my experience, maybe I just look like a young hooligan. Well, some of it is also what you have for your ID. If you're a Canadian kid going in the States, yeah, they want to check you. When I went to Mexico once with my friends on a spring break, and there were just four of us, and we were high school kids. Honestly, we weren't even in college yet. They checked the shit out of our van when we came back from Mexico. They had the military with machine guns and dogs check our whole entire van because we'd just gone over into Juarez, Mexico, across El Paso border. And well, we were college kids, and well, this is looking like it could be, we need to check them. It really just depends on who you're with and what your vibe is. For me, crossing the border, one way I'm showing a US passport, and the other way I'm showing a Canadian birth certificate. And which way I'm showing which one. It makes it real easy for me to go into the States showing I'm an American citizen right away. And well, going into Canada, I show that I was born in Toronto on my birth certificate, and it's real easy to get through there. So, it's different. It's different. I have found that the Canadian border driving will be a lot more sticklers and will check you in certain ways more than the Americans sometimes. And I like that. I like that. Mike saying that didn't have a great time here. Fans were on him the whole time about the money, etc. I don't know. I thought that he had a good time here. I didn't think, I know that there was some confusion about like playing time at a certain point. I thought that had a really good time here. It seemed like he got along with everybody, but I guess we're finding out more about things. I know that the fans could be toxic. And there was a lot of kind of like, why is Thad Young on our team kind of bullshit. But yeah, in some ways, that kind of stuff shouldn't bother players because that's just common and that's something that they deal with anyway, no matter what. There's always going to be some idiots online saying stupid shit. Yeah, Criscom's here. Good to see the great Criscom. I wonder if he has a prediction for tonight. Thad Young is a square for what a comment. He wasn't talking that shit when he re-signed and nobody else wanted him. There you go. Criscom's even feisty on this. Well, it seems like the general opinion here is that the Raptor freaks are pissed at Thad Young, and in some ways, he's dead to some of y'all already. I can see that. I can see that. I'm gonna give him another chance still. Like I said, he went from positive to neutral in my book right now. And let's see which way he steps next. Mischief's here. Mischief's saying apparently Suge Knight blocks out radiation from router and gives you better sleep. And EMP ethanol beiges block out radiation and GPS from the phone. This is interesting. I don't even know what this is exactly. Big man, baseman Jay, thank you for the information. I don't even know what I said exactly. But you're talking about radiation from the router gives you better sleep. Interesting. I might have to figure out what you're talking about. Fiercely saying DeMar and Kyle live in Toronto, live Toronto and don't love Toronto. Okay, you fix it underneath and don't complain about customs. I mean, yeah, there you go, right there. Randolph saying Lex report Celtics sold for a 6.1 billion. Yeah, somebody broke that news. Wow. Yeah, I say this wow too. Gerald saying, how bad Wemby's blood clots, though? Hoping for the best, but that's still really scary for his career. Well, if it's anything like the stuff with Koloko, they're going to fix that shit. There's too much money invested in Victor Wembanyama for him to be finished all of a sudden before he's even started. So trust me, there's some sort of miracle way they're going to be able to get Wembanyama to be able to play medically. They will get it. They will get it. There's too much money riding on him. There really, really is. Mike's saying that rebuild ranking list is trash. Oh, yeah. I don't see how they could have the Wizards anywhere above us. I mean, I guess they're going by their rookie class. They like George. They like Sar. They like Koulibaly and Bub Carrington. And they're saying, oh, the future's so bright for Wizards. Yeah, but it's still the Wizards. And they're not going to develop these guys right to, stuff like that. Any way that they can sully us and make us look like we're below or behind, they'll do it. They'll do it. Mike's saying that Hornets and Nets and Jazz have no players. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I'm with you. That it is a trash ranking. I would have put the Raptors second behind the Spurs, and then you could do whatever you want with the rest of them underneath us. That's what I'm saying. Smooth thinks that we're going to be a 5 to 6 seed next year. 5 or 6? Okay. 4, 5, or 6? Okay, so you do give that last 4. Well, that's the spot I want. If the Cavs and the Celtics and the Bucks are 1, 2, and 3, well, I want to be number 4 above the Knicks, above the other teams. Yeah. Well, 3 teams going to be above us, but I want to be number 4 in the East next year. I want to be number 4, Darko. Let's get there. That's right. Neil's saying nobody likes customs and immigration services. It's not an expedient process. It depends. It can be. Neil's saying I get pulled over on all of my U.S. business trips. Spend 1 to 2 hours in interrogation when you're crossing the border at U.S. Customs. That sucks. DK saying Raptors, how many points tonight then? 25-game winning streak then. All right, DK. 25-game winning streak. How many points tonight then? For who? Which team? You want cumulative points? Are you gambling? Do you want to know what the total score should be? I'm going to guess this, right? It's the Warriors. The Warriors do have some sort of offense, and in some ways we might have to keep up with them. So I'm going to guess the score tonight will be something like 110 to 99, something like that. So maybe like just over 200 total point score. Is that helpful? Is that what you want from me? Tristan said, I mean, for Raptors, how they seem to have really hit well this year compared to other recent years, in my opinion. Okay, just specifically our rookie class? Oh, yeah. Yeah, this year, I would rank this year with the Siakam, Portal, Van Vliet year. Seriously. Like, it's right there with that year as far as just amazing talent that's coming in the league. Like, yeah, I think that the rookie class for the Raptors this past year, the 5 rookies we had this year, are one of the best rookie classes the Raptors have ever had in the entire 30 years as a collective whole. As far as there's 5 guys that are all going to do something for us in the future to help us. And that's not often the Raptors have 5 rookies and they're all useful. Seriously. Well, you can look at Scotty's year. Scotty, we had Scotty, David Johnson, Justin Champagny, and Delano Banton, 4 rookies that year, which is a lot of rookies that year. Well, which one's still on the team? And the only one that's still on the team. And the other guys, you can see where they're at and what they're doing. David Johnson on the Memphis Hustle, and Delano in Portland, and Justin on the Wizards. I would say, you look at the success of Fred VanVleet, Jakob Poeltl, Pascal Siakam, in that draft class, and you're like, whoa. And that's this draft class that we just had. So that's what I would say there. They're on that same level as VanVleet, Poeltl, and Siakam. Yeah. Let's see. Nako saying Thad gets on a podcast with Goran and we riot. That's actually pretty funny that you said that. Seriously, that's actually really funny. You said, all right, Nako, you want a dunk. You're going to get a dunk for a funny ass quote there. That's pretty funny that you just said that. He does a podcast with Goran, we riot. Hilarious. All right, that's your 7th dunk. You're at 21 points on the dunk charts. All right, I'm going to do the Instagram stories. When I'm not ready to do classic card and Trevor's calling for it, I'll go ahead and just do the Instagram stories instead. It looks like Jonathan Mobo went to the San Francisco Dons basketball game last night. And he's sitting at courtside watching his old team that he played on last year playing in their game yesterday. So good stuff. Jonathan getting to watch his alma mater. There he is in the back, walking through the back with the old halls that he played in just last year. SGA has got them celebrating. Jalen Williams got 19 points, triple-double for Jalen Williams. And then also he's celebrating Andrew Nebhart, who's running around in them butter shoes, those SGA butter shoes. And he's saying it's got to be the butters, is what SGA is saying about Andrew's success. It's got to be the butters, Mars Blackman. Yeah, just like Mars Blackman, you say, it's got to be the shoes. Pascal Siakam, all kinds of clips of him in Pacers land. Behind the scenes, dramatics, walking into the game, the crowd, his teammates, pictures of him kicking the ball like he does before the game when he does the football dribbling. All the good stuff of Siakam's life. I always want to see Siakam happy and smiling, and the Pacers winning. I want to see them win this year. So go deep in the playoffs, Indiana, and show something. Seriously, you guys do it, young Canadians, Nebhart and Mathurin, along with our great Grote, Pascal Siakam. Always rooting for those guys. Always rooting for those guys. Kelly Olynyk in Minneapolis walking into the game with CJ McCollum behind him in his fits. And Kelly had a nice little pull-up jumper right at the free throw line. Kelly's a really good player, honestly, and he's done really good stuff for New Orleans so far since he's been there. It's weird to see him in the Bar Burrito commercial still up here. Get that Kelly classic. Jamal Shed has got some sort of new clip out. I guess he has a new clip on his YouTube channel, so check it out. Y'all know who I got. Argue with you, mama. All right, so yeah, he's getting ready for the NCAA tournament, March Madness, and obviously his team is Houston. That's right. Lloyd is still in Hawaii. And there's some waves hitting the rocks. And Lloyd did Lloyd get a tattoo? It looks like Lloyd might have gotten a new tattoo on his arm. It's very extensive, honestly. AJ Lawson is posting Alcatraz on his Instagram stories. He's got a picture of Alcatraz out in the water, and he's saying war zone. San Francisco war zone. That's a real Raptor. That's a real kid from the GTA, and he knows the rivalry with the Warriors and the Raptors from us taking that championship in their hometown arena, Oracle Arena. Yeah, in some ways, that's part of what's going on tonight. That's right. That's part of what's going on tonight. Raptors 905, all the highlights from last night. Yeah, goofy game. They lost. They crumbled in the end. They don't have enough to close it out. Jacoby Walter has a nice picture of him and Emmanuel Quickly on his Instagram right now, on his Instagram stories. Let's see what else we got. Toronto Tempo is saying this. We constantly get asked where our fans can watch women's sports in Canada. And we're happy to share with you our friends at Watch Her Win, a new resource created to support Canadian women in sports. Find upcoming games across multiple sports, including women's basketball, here at Watch Her Win app. And it's an app. I looked at it yesterday. And basically, it lists all of like the things like the PWHL games that are going on right now with the Toronto Scepters. And it's going to be a place where you can go and find Canadian women athletes and the sports on TV and how you can watch them. It's a very helpful app if you're wanting to support more women's sports and see what's on when it's on. So download the Watch Her Win app, y'all. There's Dylan Disu getting his haircut on his Instagram stories. And that's about it. That's the Instagram stories right there. Jonathan Mobo back in town in San Francisco at his alma mater, going back to the game there. There you go. There you go. Blackhawk saying there is truth to Thad's customs argument because U.S. customs is on Canadian soil. You would not complain the same way about Mexico or UK because immigration is there. It's interesting because, listen, they do it so well and so fast. And honestly, like if you're doing customs so often, you should know all the tricks of the trade and know how to deal with it. You know what I don't understand is people who go to the airport and they get in trouble at customs for shit that they know they're going to get pulled into trouble for. Sometimes there's people that just want to travel with shit that they want to bring and they like want to fight with them. I was like, you can't bring liquid on a plane now. You can't bring certain sharp objects, and these people are still showing up with them. I feel like this is part of the problem too, is that in some ways, maybe some of these players feel like freedom is being able to bring a pound of weed across the border or something like that, and that's a problem. In some ways, you got to understand the rules. You go through the customs so often, you want to expedite your time through there as quickly as possible. Why the fuck are you giving them problems then? Is what I would say. So it's like, look, if you don't want any issues with customs, go through the right way and you won't have any issues and you'll get through fast. Maybe some of these guys are trying them in some ways and they're getting in trouble or having things taken from them at the border. And that's why they don't like it. I don't know. I'm speculating here. Let's see. Blackhawk saying, for your information, I had the L1B visa for the U.S. I'm very familiar with the pros and cons of working in the U.S. being a Canadian. Besides, I'm in their computer, which is why I get interrogated every visit. That's crazy. You'd think if you're a frequent customer that they get to know you and you have like a sub club card. He's like, oh, you coming across again? Hey, Blackhawk, what's going on, man? Yeah, I know you. Click. Some of the borders and some of the smaller towns across the Canadian border in the U.S., like in Montana or North Dakota, they're very not traveled. There's people that come through there that they see every day and they just wave to them. Because they're like, oh, yeah, he's going to mine it to go and buy his gummy bears that he likes from the retail store, and shit like that. Oh, Dolores, good to see you. Have fun at the park with your dog. They drive through every day, and it's small town, and it's small volume. And then everybody knows the people crossing the border, and it's like no big deal. That's interesting. So Neil is very knowledgeable on this more than any of us, considering that he's had to do these things for his work. Yeah, DK saying bye-bye, Warriors then. Bye-bye, Warriors. Bye, Warriors. Come have fun storming the castle. Fiercey saying Kyle's allegiance to Toronto has definitely helped him business-wise. He was invited to do that movie screening, and he partnered with The Tempo, has a Kyle Lowry day, etc. Being open-minded creates opportunities. This is true. And this is for all of us in our lives. I've closed some doors in the last 6 months with people from this channel. But in some ways, I needed to do that for my own sanity and getting toxicness out. But in some ways, maybe I lost some opportunities because of it. So be it. But I'm just saying that kind of attitude and doing that will make you lose opportunities, Thad Young Jr., if your dad starts shooting off his mouth like that in podcasts. And that's what I'm saying. Kyle, he's good with everything. He's going to be richer for it because he can be in Canadian commercials up here and get paid by the advertisers up here, because people want to see him in advertisements up here because he's a growth. And people look at him like that. That's exactly right, Fiercey. And that's something that Vince Carter, in some ways, had to rectify and fix himself, because there's a lot of lucrative things for Vince Carter up here, but he needed to get his standing right with us to be able to do that. And he's done a good job. He's done a good job. I'm proud of Vince this year. I really am. Trevor's saying they're talking bullshit again. Lakers will get by OKC. Well, the NBA script writers, Adam Silver on the down low, ESPN writers, those idiots, they want that. Yeah, because they love the Lakers. ESPN is the Lakers channel, and they'll overtalk the Lakers in every kind of way. Well, reality is not going to be that. We're going to see it unless the NBA is tainted like the WWE and they're going to script write the endings and the storylines. I don't expect the Lakers to be anywhere near past the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're crazy. They are absolutely crazy for saying that bullshit. That's right. Fiercely saying Mobo, Shed, Shamshay, Walter. Who am I missing? Battle. Jameson Battle, the three-point shooter. That's right. Nako saying, wait, wasn't 21 Thad's jersey? Yeah, he wore number 21. That's right, Nako. He was number 21. But now it's Orlando Robinson. Mike saying, I've been looking through the Ocean Gate evidence and Coast Guard hearings. Laugh out loud. I'm ready for the season to end and playoffs to start. Certain fans are too wild at the moment. I don't even know what you're talking about. Ocean Gate, Coast Guard hearings. This is crazy. Oh, you mean like the stuff that's going on with them trying to cut down the staff? And yeah, it's really stupid. Like they've done some really dumb stuff. Like they're really losing money. They say they're saving money, but they are losing money because of the chaos they're causing. They really are. Let's see. Smooth saying Mobo to me is a 10th man on a roster next year. Still very raw. Needs a lot of work to remain in the NBA. I'm not going to disagree with you. In some ways, out of all of our draft guys this year, he's the one who has to do the most work to stay in the league. I think that Shed has made such good leaps and bounds that he has got a good path. He would have been maybe the one I was worried about the most before, but now it's Mobo. Jameson's got such a sound skill set that he will be in the league. And Shamshe is such an amazing project that he's going to be dynamically good more and more as time goes on. Walter's fine. But Jonathan, he's definitely somebody who's going to have to continue to strive to develop and get better and better and smarter about the NBA game for him to stay in the league. You're exactly right. And yeah, I engage him about that spot on our roster also. That's maybe generous also. That may be generous. Mike's saying Philly and the Nets fans are talking Cooper Flag. Laker fans are saying finals. Clippers fans are fighting the Kawhi narratives. Heat fans are in a mega cope mode. Yeah, there's a lot of different stages and places that different fan nations are in. I like ours. I'm pretty happy with where we're at and considering everything this year. And the sentiment earlier that this has been a successful year and we're happy with it, and that's what matters. Neil's saying, once you are marked for life. The stupid thing I was marked for traveling every week, nothing illegal. They wrote it in my file and forced my computer to get, they forced my company to get me the L1B. Well, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, it's like, well, hopefully you don't have to do that travel to the States anymore. And it's annoying. I don't know where things are at with you, Neil, on that. But that's crazy. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. Like, the less you have to deal with the U.S. government, the better. Let's just put it that way, especially really right now. Seriously. Mike's saying that the sub went missing at the Titanic, the Titan, the one with the Logitech controller. Okay, that's what you're talking about. That's a whole other non sequitur. Okay, that's interesting. Trevor's saying Mobo needs to work on his offense in the offseason. I think he needs to work on his I think it's still defense more. Offense is not as important for him. Now, I will say the one thing he can work on is finishing around the basket and be more confident and strong. But otherwise, it's still defensive positioning and understanding the assignments of different people he may have to guard. Like Durant the other day, he was guarding Kevin Durant, and he's doing a pretty good job. So in some ways, some of the stuff that Scott's got to work on, Jonathan's got to work on too at the same time. And that's being a stopper like OG was and getting the highest, most difficult degree of defense on the toughest player on the other side. Because ideally, Jonathan is that switch in for Scott to take the toughest defensive assignment. And that may be his most important role because that's what we've seen the most. Like in some ways, that's been very useful this year. Scotty has to come out. We don't want to let down on the defensive energy around him. Jonathan can kind of keep that up, is what we're saying. Chris comes saying, as far as a prediction, Jimmy and Golden State will have an easy win. I'm still not happy that Philly has better draft odds. Yeah, we'll just have to see. Ball don't lie, Alvin Williams. And maybe the ping pong balls won't lie, like a free throw rolling off the rim and missing. That's the other thing. Ball don't lie can apply to ping pong balls. And even if Philly has a better odds than us, maybe we jump ahead of them still in the draft, and that'd be fun. The possibility for that is there. Mike's saying, I find other things to do at times, when people are too emotional about basketball. Okay, so your distraction is learning about the sub that sunk at the Titanic. That's cool, man. That's fine. That's really cool. We've added this little bit in here. I don't want to obsess and talk about it for the next 10 minutes. We are 18 minutes over my time. So let's do the classic card since we've gotten to the end of the chat. And let's see what's happening here. Oh, man, we've had this guy. I'm going to put him over there. He's too easy. We've had that guy too much. Oh, that's too easy. I don't want to do that one either. Okay, yeah, this is somebody who gets forgotten. This is not totally in the right time frame either for what we've been doing. So let's see if anybody remembers this guy. Our classic card of the day. Whoever can write in the full name answer first will get the classic card points for today. And I'm thinking this guy might be about a 200 or 150 card.
because he's very kind of hard. Let's see if you guys remember him. Number 6 for the Pistons is there. Don't look it up. Don't look up 6 Pistons. Just go by what you see and tell me who you see. Now, that's a Philadelphia player trying to guard him. I'm not sure who the Philly player is, but I could definitely tell you who that guy in the Pistons jersey is. And y'all will probably know. Somebody will probably know. He's famous enough. He's not a bit player that somebody wouldn't know him. He's somebody that if you remember him, you remember him, and you'll get him. Let's see if any of our old heads here will know Reggie, Slug Deezy, anybody knowing anything here. If you make some guesses, I'll give you some clues on his name. If you're not getting anywhere, if I show you the back of the card, you're going to get it immediately. If I show you the back of the card, because there's a really big picture of his face. Fiercely saying, is that Thad Young? I mean, that's a good guess because he was around at that time. Thad Young was playing at that time. That's a good guess. No, Slug Deezy's got it. It is Terry Mills. And I don't know if you guys remember old Terry Mills. He was a three-point shooter for the Pistons and also a big man, a power forward. Just a better picture of his face right there. Terry Mills. And he was one of the most important scorers in his time with the Pistons. It wasn't a very winning time, but he was one of the more well-known, better scorers on the Pistons in his years when he was there. So yeah, Slug Deezy, I'm gonna give you, since you seem like expert level, you have really been like, you and Reggie are the kings of the classic card for sure. I feel like this was easy for you though in particular, so I'm only gonna give you 150. I'll give you 150 for it. 150. People weren't exactly right on it, but you got it. You got it. And let's put it in right now. Terry Mills is the card, and we're gonna put Slug Deezy down. That's your 3 out of the last 4. Slug Deezy's got them. And that one for Kenny Williams. Oh my God. I couldn't believe he got that one so easy. That was crazy. That was so crazy. He knew Kenny Williams. But yeah, he knows his era right around there. Neil's saying, I'm still with the company, but I work for Canadian customers now. So I only have to deal with the US once in a while. The immigration still asks me why I haven't become an American. Well, they just expect you to like convert and come over. Yeah, when I became an American, they made me denounce my Canadian citizenship, but I didn't. Fuck that. I was like, now you, because that's part of the process. If you become an American, some ways the US government does not recognize dual citizenship. As soon as you become an American, you're just American, and they don't recognize that I was born in Canada and here. I mean, I'll always be a Canadian citizen, and that's where my heart is, and that's who I am. But in the eyes of the U.S. government, I'm an American citizen. Living in Canada right now, and in some ways, without outright denouncing my American citizenship, that's what they have me as status right now in their books right now. But well, we know where Lex's heart is, and we know where he is in geography. I'm in Canada. I chose to be here. I'm a proud Canadian. I've been a Canadian my whole entire life, even if I was raised in the United States. Fuck the United States. I say that over and over again. My whole entire life, I've been choosing Canada, no matter what, and that was hard growing up as a kid, the Canadian kid in the United States schools, and being picked on for being the Canadian kid. So in some ways, the situation right now that we're in, it's stuff from my childhood. Seriously, the bullying, and a little bit is keying on some of the trauma from my life when I was very young. The situation we're in right now. So in some ways, I would say fuck around and find out. That's what I would say. That's right. That's what I would say. Tristan saying I was theorizing that Mobo could play like Nick Richards. I think he could do better than that. I think he could do better than that. Come on now. Trevor's saying, who cares if Philly got a top draft pick? They will still not going anywhere. I know I've said this too. In some ways, I would say that if this makes you feel better, Criscom and other people that were saying they don't like that the Philly has a better draft odds than us. Once again, if Philadelphia does not keep their pick, the Thunder get it. And that is really good for the Thunder. In some ways, that's way too powerful for them. If you love the Thunder, I'm sure that's music to your ears. But to me, I would feel like it's scarier for the Thunder to get the pick because it's not protected and it falls out of the top 6 than the Sixers keeping the pick and doing what they always do and fucking fumbling the pick and, making it a bust somehow, some way. Markelle Fultz, Jahlil Okafor, even Joel Embiid, I'd say is a bust in some ways, honestly. And the whole grand scheme of things, Joel Embiid is going to be a bust.
So I'm not scared of Daryl Morey picking in the top 6 of the draft. I'm really not. I'm really, really not, because we know he has a history of fumbling, that kind of shit. So that's what I say about that. That's right. That's why Trevor's saying that too. Who cares if they get the pick? They have a history of fumbling their shit. Mike's saying Miami is trying to do a Hawks move at the moment, hold 10th and get lottery odds and still try for the playoffs. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I'm worried that the Heat might fall completely out and we take their spot and we're in the play-in all of a sudden. In some ways, that's attractive, but in some ways also that's not necessarily what the plan is right now. Miami keeps losing. They plummet right out. They may plummet right past us, and all of a sudden we're in the 10th spot. Yikes. That would be crazy, man. Let's see. Mike's saying this draft has teams doing funny things. Yeah. I don't know. I think that the NBA is always constantly evolving. And that's why Adam Silver's really got to think about some measures to fix this situation. The NBA has people that think they're smart and they're going to try and game the system and do kind of weird stuff, lose on purpose. Well, Adam Silver's got to fix the league. And well, we may see very much changes this summer immediately after what he's seen this year with the tanking and stuff like that. Neil's saying, I told immigration that everything that is in the U.S. is in Canada. No advantage to moving, and my kids are here. Yeah, that's once again the bravado of Americans just thinking that their shit don't stink, and that everything about them is the best. Somebody recently said, and this was a right-wing idiot, said, what the hell does Canada do better than the United States? Well, you want to know, bitch? There's one thing that we do very, very much better than you guys. And well, it's healthcare, and it's something called life expectancy. Canadians on average are expected to live longer than Americans because y'all's healthcare system sucks, and y'all's social security and network for helping people is horrible. The safety net, and on average, Canadians can expect to live to about 80. And well, Americans live to about 75. So we're doing better than y'all as far as how long we live. How about that? And that's what my answer is to that person. Neil saying the Thunder getting the pick means they have to let go of someone else that other teams can grab. You can develop only so much talent. That's one way of looking at it. And I won't disagree with what you're saying. That's one way of looking at it. But then they get the dibs on which one they want, and they get even stronger because of that, is what I would say. I think it's much more dangerous for the Thunder to have a top 10 pick than the Sixers, to be honest. I mean, I just feel that way from track records, you know. All right, let's do the rundown. I mean, there's other things I need to check real quick. Let me just go and look around on my tabs for a second. First, let's go look at Raptors Reddit and see what these people are saying. They've got the Thad Young news on here, and Raptors Reddit is very much like you guys. Very, very much like you guys. Thad Young didn't like living in Toronto. So let's see what some of the comments that some of the Raptors Reddit people are saying about that right now. These are just thing. It's cool, guys. The city isn't for everyone. Somebody said that's fine, but he didn't even explain why. Okay, let's see. Why is it a disadvantage though? Is one somebody was. It's because of customs, is what he's saying. It's a disadvantage. And somebody's saying, "Oh, it's a disadvantage," and Thad didn't like it here because you can't whip out a gun on command and shoot out of school. Oh my gosh, that's pretty hardcore thing to say right there. Yeah, there's school shootings every single day in the United States, and they think we do things worse here. Oh my gosh. All right, anyway, there's a lot of crazy stuff in that little thing about Canada and the U.S. with Thad Young there on Reddit. It's crazy. One person's written on Reddit, is anyone else scared we might sneak into the play-in tournament with the way the Heat are playing? I was just talking about that just now, that the Heat are plummeting right now. And, well, there could be some things happening there. All right, let's see if Blue Skies has any breaking news right now as far as anything Blake Murphy's saying about things that are going on with anything. No, it doesn't look like there's anything new on Blue Skies. Nothing on here right there. There is a birthday today, guys, and this is a very important birthday. Happy 65th birthday to Leo Routens, guys. Today's Leo's birthday, guys, and he's 65 today. Leo Routens' birthday is the first day of spring, guys. Isn't that kind of cool? Leo, do you get to usually have the first day of spring as your birthday? It's kind of a nice day to have your birthday on. It's finally when winter's over and springtime is flourishing and starting to blossom out. So Leo Routens is a spring baby, and happy 65th to Leo. We love you, Leo. You cantankerous tank artist right now. You're a tanker. He's been tank talking all the last couple of months. That's right. That's right. Mike's saying the Thunder have Miami's pick if they are 16th to 30th from the Paul George trade. Okay, that's interesting. Neil's saying our politics is better too. None of this 2-year campaigning. Yeah, that's good. That saves money. Although we do have a lot of money being spent on attack ads. Some of the ads that I'm seeing right now, I'm very happy about. Now, y'all notice that Trump came out and said he'd like the liberals to win our election because he feels like they'd be easier to deal with. He's just bullshitting. Some ways he understands that right now the polls are really hurting for Poilievre because everybody's saying, yeah, he's like Trump for here. And the ads are very effective. But Trump is trying to act like he has nothing to do with Poilievre. He's saying, oh, this guy, Poilievre, I don't know him. He's not my friend. And honestly, he's not a very smart man for not liking me, is kind of what he's saying. That's bullshit. They are acting like they're not cahoots and liking each other. That's just all a front because he understands he's better off if Poilievre wins. But he also understands people are going to vote for the person that he likes. So he has to manufacture that he doesn't like Pierre and act like he isn't. But the ad that's out right now by the Liberal Party showing Pierre echoing everything that Trump says is exactly right. Pierre Poilievre is the version of Trump for this country, and we do not want him to be the prime minister because Trump may act like he doesn't like Pierre, and he's saying something, oh, I'd rather have the liberals because they'll be easier to deal with. And motherfucker, they will not be because in some ways they don't think like you. And in some ways, Trump is doing a Jedi mind trick to try and trick Canadian voters into thinking, well, I hate Trump. I don't want to do what Trump wants. And he's saying that Pierre's not his friend. Maybe I can vote for Poilievre. So don't fall for this shit. You know, ducks quack. They quack, they're ducks. And well, Pierre Poilievre quacks who he is in his political statements, and his quacks sound just like Donald Trump's quacks. So don't fall for any kind of bullshit because Trump's coming out and trying to say, oh, I'd like Mark Carney. I'd like him to win. Don't let that change your vote. Seriously. Seriously. Very, very important. Smooth saying Leo looks great. Yeah, 65. He's older than Jack, y'all. He is older than Jack Armstrong, just so y'all know. Leo Routens is older than Jack Armstrong. Most people don't know that. Smooth saying, NBA old heads, look him up. Lex is an example of how you can look. Leo? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This has come full circle. He was deriding Zach Randolph and Tony Allen for looking like they not only bought the house, they ate the house. And, well, you can look at Leo Routens, who's much older than those guys, and you can see how you keep yourself in shape. You work out regularly, you eat right, you get enough sleep, and you have a stress-free life, you can look good like Leo Routens at 65. There you go. Kaloy saying, it looks like we have a federal election on April 28th. Elbows up, people. Let's not get complacent with polls. We need to help keep PP off the PM ship. Yeah. In some ways, this is to bona fide Mark Carney because, there's a lot of arguments to saying, well, Trudeau stepped down. He's not a real prime minister. He has to win an election. And Mark Carney and the liberals realize they have to come out and do that. And yeah, we can't have complacency. We can't have people saying it doesn't matter. I'm just going to stay home. They're all the same. Bullshit. If anything has been taught by the U.S. election last year, the two candidates are not the fucking same. And understand this. We need to reject right-wing politics in all corners of the world right now, whether it's Germany, like they did just recently, whether it's any country around the world. Fascist, right-wing, racist, supremacists are trying to take control in different places, and we don't need more of that, and especially here in Canada. So yes, we need to vote. Everybody needs to vote, and you need to vote for the party that has the best chance to beat PC. And sadly, unfortunately, it is the corporate puppets, the liberals. But we're talking about different grades of evil and wrong here. And in some ways, there are differences between the political parties. And anybody who's poo-pooing and saying, oh, they're just the same, it doesn't matter if I vote or not, you are fucking wrong as fuck. And I don't like you for saying that shit. So get out there like Carlo is saying and exercise your right to vote because honestly, freedom and democracy is under fire in this entire world right now. And we need to exercise our right to vote because, like I said, nothing's promised in the future. And it's very, very important. Very, very important. All right, let me do the rundown and get out of here. I appreciate everybody being here with me. Long stream, but we're covering a lot here and getting a lot done, honestly. So the Raptors are listing Jacoby Walter, RJ Barrett, Jared Roden, Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, and Ulrich Shamshay as out. Notice that there's nobody on there named Scotty or Emmanuel or Jakob. So we should have 3 of our starters for the game tonight at point guard, center, and power forward. I'm going to guess that starting in the place of those guys may be Jonathan Mobo because they're back in San Francisco, and Ochai Agbaji will be the starting 5 for the Raptors. Of course, Jamal Shed, Orlando Robinson, AJ Lawson, Jamison Battle, Colin Castleton, and off the bench, and along with Chris Boucher. There you go. For the Warriors, the only person listed on their injury list is Gary Payton II. He is questionable with a knee injury, so he may actually play, and they may be full strength. And their starting lineup right now is Steph Curry, Brandon Podds, Moses Moody, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. Yeah, the referees for tonight's game for the Raptors at Golden State, Courtney Kirkland is the crew chief. He favors the Warriors. Eric Dalen is the referee. He favors the Raptors. And Fennessy Ransom is the third ref. He favors the Raptors also. So, yeah, we've got an even ref, a good ref, and a bad ref. It's the good, the bad, and the even. The good, the bad, and the even. Yeah. All right. And the Raptors 905 lost a game last night to the Grand Rapids Gold. They're now 13-17 for the season, and they've fallen out of contention for the G League playoffs, sadly, as of last night. Eugene Omoruyi was suspended from the game for fighting on Monday against Windy City Bulls, and that was a huge blow. My 3 stars of the game in the loss were Evan Gilliard, Charlie Brown Jr., and Quincy Guerrier. Yeah, there you go. All right, there you go. I'm pretty much done, guys, with the stream. Happy birthday, Leo. And y'all check out your fantasy teams and the last week of the regular season we got going on right now. It's going to be all over and done with. We're going to start the playoffs next Monday. So be ready for next Monday. There you go. There you go. Just my opinion, just your opinion. Talking about Leo Routens on how you can look good. Listen, your health in your extended and later in life is up to you. If you want to just retire and let yourself go ahead. Oliver Miller is a sad cautionary tale of this. You know, they say Oliver died of cancer recently. In some ways, he was not a healthy person with healthy life choices. And in my field of study in graduate school, your life choices will add up to whether your life expectancy is longer or not. So, you know, there's little choices you can make. Quit smoking cigarettes. It can really add years to your life. Seriously. If you're abusing alcohol, you're doing damage to your liver and parts of your body. You can fix yourself too with making adjustments in your behavior. You know, even just a simple thing like wearing your seatbelt adds like a year or 2 to your life. Seriously, this is statistically true. So you can make smart decisions in little ways that add up to more life for you. And eating is one of the most important ones. Eat healthy, eat stuff that nourishes you, that's good for you, and not chemically toxic, destroying you from the inside. So yeah, there you go. Slick Easy saying 11 to 4 to out of playoff contention is insane. Yeah, they were 11-4, the 905 in January, and everything went to shit once Shamshay got hurt. It really was when Ulrich got hurt. Everything went downhill since then. That's right. They've won 1 game since then, and they're at 12-17 or something like that. It's crazy. Peace out. Good to see you, Tristan. Good to see you, man. And Chris comes saying, I like mobile, but we passed on the kids, Wells and the Grizzlies. What does what OG did for us? 3 and D player. I like mobile. I don't know who you're talking about. Mobile? T-Mobile? Chris, I love you, man. All right, y'all. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Y'all Raptorize your day. Let's go Raptors. Whatever the outcome is tonight, we're winning either way. We're winning the long term, no matter what. And tonight, if we don't win the short term, I hope that everybody can just try and enjoy the game, entertainment, watch Steph Curry while you can, you know, and, you know, hopefully Draymond Green's an idiot. Maybe he fouls out. Who knows? Maybe we have a little fracas. I don't know. Who knows? We just want good things, positive things, no injuries, a good contested game. And who knows? Maybe the Raptors will mess around and win this game somehow, some way against the Warriors. We already beat them this year. We beat them when they were here in our home arena already this year. So the worst we can do is a split with the Warriors. We're not going to get swept by them. We could sweep them, though, if we do beat them. All right. Peace out, y'all. I appreciate everybody. Let's go, Raptors. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, or join the channel. Joining the channel means you have access to our Facebook chat during the game, where myself and other great Raptor freaks are commenting and talking during the game and having conversation about what's happening during the game. So there are some benefits. All right, y'all. All the best, guys. And I'll see y'all tomorrow on the reaction stream on Friday morning. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go Raptors. Let's beat the Warriors, just like we did in 2019. Yeah, maybe. Maybe Hemi's there.